Good morning, Madam Chair and TDLCB members. We are now streaming live to YouTube.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to the board, and good morning to everyone who is spending some time with us today. Welcome to the Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board Annual Public Meeting. I'd like to officially call this meeting to order. My name is Myra Uribe. I am Chairman of the Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board, and I'll be chairing today's meeting, the first of which is our annual public meeting to hear feedback from the paratransit service. So if I may, I'm going to ask Mayor Bates to help us lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, if everyone will rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I want to thank everyone for being here, and we definitely want to thank for hosting the meeting here. Hopefully it was easier to access and make it appropriate for everyone to arrive and be able to be a part of this morning. So with that being said, we're going to move on and go. We've already done our Pledge of Allegiance. It's now time for roll call. Unlike our TDLCB meetings, this public comment period does not require a quorum. So this is more closely related to taking attendance and calling the roll. Ms. Rachel, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Baldwin.
Present.
Bates. Berry. Campbell. Delano.
Present.
Giltz. Hickling.
Present.
Hunter. Kersey Ledgerwood. Melia.
Present.
Olds. Olson.
Present.
Rays.
Present.
Smith. Stone.
Present.
Uribe.
Here.
Witt.
Present.
Zubritsky.
Present.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Rachel. At this time, I'm going to be calling on Ms. Whittington to announce the purpose of today's public meeting. But again, I want to thank the board for being here, and it's such a robust board. So thank you, everyone, for making time for today. I want to thank the public because we all do this to be of service for you. We all have connection to the paratransit community. Most recently, we participated in the blind experience, which if anybody has ever done it, it is very, very good to do to continue to represent and stand up for those that have limitations when it comes to transportation and mobility. And just know that everyone on this board cares about this community, from the staff at MetroPlan to all of the board members to our elected officials. Thank you for making your voice heard, and know that we are here to pronounce your voice, to stand up for you, and to continue to challenge you. As we move into the next portion of the meeting, I ask that everyone please be respectful of the time allocated. If you are here and you don't quite feel comfortable speaking, we'll read your comments into the record, and we will have someone to assist you. Ms. Whittington, at this point, you are recognized to take over this portion of our meeting.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, members, for being here this morning. Just one housekeeping with the microphones that you're using today. They are voice activated, so you don't need to touch anything today. Just begin speaking and you will be fine. And today's events will begin with the annual public meeting, and it's going to conclude with the meeting of the Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board. The TDLCB meeting is advertised to begin at 10:30 a.m. or immediately following the public comments, whichever occurs first. So in other words, if we finish public comments at 10:15, we'll be able to adjourn and go directly into the next meeting. We do have a public presentation information from Safe Mobility for Life. She's joining us, and she will be doing a public information presentation this morning. So the purpose of the annual public meeting is to receive input on unmet needs or any other areas that relate to the local paratransit services. Members of the public who wish to speak today will be given an opportunity to address the board. Today's meetings were advertised in the Orlando Sentinel and La Prensa newspapers through emails that were sent directly to Access Links TD writers with active email addresses on file with Links. Notices were posted on MetroPlan Orlando's and Links website, on social media platforms, and finally, a flyer advertising or announcing the date, time, and location of the meeting was posted on board each Access Links vehicle, as well as a message about the meeting added to the call hold recording. In addition to in-person comments and those who will be heard from remote attendees, we received written comments via email and voice messages that have been transcribed. Messages left on the phone were transcribed and added to the record of comments received. The LCB members, each of you, have a copy of those comments at your places. You have the full transcript and the full emails that were sent. As we go through this public meeting, I will summarize or provide highlights from them for the record. Some of them are quite lengthy, and so we have to be respectful of the same 2-minute time limit that people who are speaking in person have. And so that's why we will be doing highlights and summarization, but you do have the full record at your places. Lastly, we want attendees to know that representatives from Access Links and TransDev are in attendance today. And any comments that are received that needed immediate attention were sent to Access Links prior to the meeting. We did receive a couple of comments that were related specifically to fixed route and not the TD paratransit, and so those two were sent directly to the Link staff. Again, the purpose of today's meeting is to hear from the public. A complete record of these comments will be provided to Access Links after the meeting for follow-up. Madam Chair, if there are no questions from the board, we are prepared to move forward.
Are there any questions from anyone on the board? And Ms. Whittington, you're going to read these comments that we've received after the public comments.
Correct.
Great, thank you.
Ready?
Let's get this started.
Okay, so
All
public
right.
comments. Anyone wishing to provide public comments today should complete a speaker card. The chairperson will first recognize online attendees who submitted electronic speaker cards in advance, and then any others who are joining online who wish to speak. When your name is called, speakers should use the raise hand feature on the Zoom platform, and then you'll be invited to unmute your microphone to speak. Each speaker should state your name and county of residence for the record. All comments are limited to 2 minutes. After all online comments are received, the chair will invite in-person speakers who have completed speaker cards. Staff is available to assist you with completing your card if you have not done so already. And we have a microphone that will be brought to you if you choose to make your comments from your seat, but you are welcome to speak from the podium if you are more comfortable there. Again, each speaker is limited to 2 minutes. Once all in-person comments are heard, then I will highlight or summarize all of the written comments and phone messages. Madam Chair and board members, we are ready now to receive public comments, and Lisa is online to recognize any hands. We did not receive any speaker cards electronically for those who are online, so there may be some online who wish to speak that have not submitted cards yet. Thank you.
I did have one question, Ms. Whittington. If we have anybody who speaks Spanish, we're willing to also take those comments in Spanish, correct?
Yes.
Yes, fantastic. Okay, thank you. So if you want to start calling the order of speakers.
I'm sure. Lisa, do you have anyone online who has their hand raised that would like to make a comment? We do not have any speaker cards here.
The first speaker that has his hand raised is Mr. Michael Lincoln.
Good
Mr.
morning.
Lincoln.
Mr.
Yes,
Lincoln?
can you hear me? Yes, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, board. My name is Michael Lincoln McCrate. I am the proud president of Magical Self-Advocacy here in the great city of Orlando. I'm also on the board for the Disability Advisory Board for Orange County. Here in the city of Orlando, people with disabilities has been struggling dramatically for people with disabilities to get to and from work regarding access links. There's been several issues with access links that's been going on with people with disabilities. One of the biggest barriers is people with special needs that work at a theme park, especially during the months of October when they're doing Halloween Horror Nights or these Halloween events. They're stuck after 2 or 3 in the morning because access links do not run after a certain amount of time, and they're forced to have to walk all the way home from work. 1, that is really unsafe, and 2, that is really unacceptable. If we're a big city that has multiple attractions and theme parks and know that there's individuals that works really late at night because of these attractions that are running for Halloween Horror Nights or Hollow Scream, our individuals shouldn't be stuck and not have no way home because access links stop at a certain time. The other issues is sometimes they don't even come for almost 2 or 3 hours, which leaves our individuals out and on the street, which is extremely dangerous for our individuals. I know on some parts of I-Drives, there's a lot of drugs, drug transactions that goes on the streets. There's been shootings. So
Mr. Lincoln, please,
I'm just
Mr. Lincoln, please wrap up. That is your time. I apologize that we have to cut you off, but thank you so much. Lisa, is there another online?
Yes, we have
Lisa, do we have another
Alyssa.
online commenter?
Yes, we have Alyssa. And Alyssa, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Miss Alyssa? Okay, there you go.
Okay, perfect. Yes, my biggest thing here is kind of going off of what he said, is if you need to get to work, dispatch should actually respect that. My husband was going to work yesterday and he didn't get out of Poinciana until like 5 p.m. and he had to be working 4:30. So that's the biggest thing. Another thing is making sure the bus has enough room for passenger. I had to wait for an hour for the next bus to pick me up at one point. So that would be nice to have, is making sure that the bus actually has that capacity for your passengers before you send them out. Let's see. And then last thing is the GPSs on the buses need to be updated as well. That's another big issue that we have. Sitting on the bus for 3 to 4 hours sometimes because of the GPS is not being updated, even though we're only allowed to be on there for 2 hours and just being on there for 4. And some drivers don't even stop to let people go to the restroom and things like that. So those are my 3 main issues. Thank you.
Alyssa, thank you so much for your comments. If you can please let us know your last name and your county where you reside. Alyssa, are you able to hear me?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so the last name is Cheeseman in Osceola County.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lisa, is there another online, Lisa?
There are no other hands raised online.
Okay, Madam Chair, we're ready to move to in-person commenters.
Great.
We have received 13 comment cards, and we will, 14 comment cards. Thank you. And we will call them in the order in which we received them. Those who submitted their online comment card or the comment card electronically prior to arriving will be called first. The first name we have is Sunil Janik. Sunil Janik, are you here? Sunil Janik. Next, we have Miss Sheila Young. Sheila, and she's coming with the microphone now. She's coming from your left there, Sheila. Sheila, you have 2 minutes.
Can you hear me? Yeah, you can. Okay. Good morning. My name is Sheila Young. I live in Orange County in College Park area. And thank you, Madam Chair and the board, for listening to our comments. I am grateful for this service. I have had a wonderful experience over the past year. UServe is amazing. The concern I have is we really need on-demand service. If you get up in the morning and your milk is sour, you've got to schedule a ride for tomorrow to go to the store to get milk, where one of you could get in your car, go pick up the milk and come back home within 15 minutes. It would take us 2 to 3 hours. On-demand is available in Jacksonville, Broward County, Pinellas County, and Palm Tran. And I really feel that this service would allow us to do things on spur of the moment, like somebody calls me and wants me to meet them for dinner, if I need to run to the store, if I've got a prescription to go pick up, etc. So I would love it if you would seriously look into these other services and maybe consider doing this for us, because it would be such an advantage. And without this service, just back to UServe and what we're doing now with TransDev, we would be so isolated. So thank you for your service.
Thank you, Ms. Sheila.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Our next speaker is Ms. Marcia Bucala. Thank you for being here, Ms. Bucala.
Yes, I'm also would like to see our county go to an on-demand service. As Sheila mentioned, there are many counties in Florida that already have it I also have a list of several counties across the United States I would like to share and leave this piece of paper with you. I not only am legally blind, but last year I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. I had 6 chemo appointments, and I was told I would be there between 3 to 5 hours. There was no way I could call the day before at 5 o'clock to get a return ride. I also had some complications from some of my chemo treatments, and my chemo nurse told me to call my internist. I was told my internist would call me back that afternoon. She did at 4:35. She agreed she needed to see me the next day, and I had to cut that call short because I had to call Access Links by 5 o'clock to be able to get to that appointment that she overbooked for me. I also had a situation this year where my dog was ill. I called my vet's office and they said, we have no appointments for 2 weeks available, but we do have emergency day of appointments. I said, well, hopefully I'll be able to find a ride because I would have had to call Access Links by 5 o'clock yesterday to be able to bring my dog in. So I hope you understand the importance of why we are asking for an on-demand service. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bucala. And for the record, your county is Orange County? Yes. Thank you. Our next speaker is Janine Lee.
Hello, my name is, let me take off my mask. My name is Janine Lee, and I live in Osceola County, and I thank you so much for having this service. I really appreciate the service when I don't have to take the bus you serve and I get a car, because sometimes the buses are very jarring. The vans are very tight, and the wheel, the covering for the wheel comes up against you, and it's very hot, and you just can't get comfortable in that. And if you sit in the back, sometimes when they step on the brake, you'll go forward. It's just not comfortable. So you serve and on-demand is really great. I love this service. I agree with my predecessors that an on-demand service would be great. Also, I think there needs to be some more accountability with our transportation. We are supposed to be ready between this time and this time, and it's a half an hour window that we have to wait. But sometimes you guys are late. The ride is late, and we have to be okay with it because, like they said, you have to book it 24 hours in advance. So if they're running 30 minutes late, we have to deal with it. If we're 5 minutes late, you leave, and then we get a no-show. And we only get so many of those, and then we get banned from transportation for so long. I haven't had that issue because I am very scared and nervous about that. But yes, I would like it better if we could just make it easier to book rides, if we had more flexibility, and if people would be on time and not early. So either they're late or they're early. Like if they're coming to get me at 8:30, they'll call me at 8:05 and say, I'm here. And it's like, no, I'm not ready for you. So yes, so please help with this. And drivers need to just take us to our stops and not stop and go to drive-throughs. I think that's very important.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments today, Janine. I'm going to call the next 3 names, and if you are comfortable going to the microphone or to the podium, if you would do that. If not, you can just raise your hand so that we'll know where you are. Ms. Alma Reese, Eric Lutz, and June Ulrich. Alma? She's back there.
I'm on my way, Ms. Alma.
Oh, it's coming up.
Slow down.
Alma Reese, Seminole County. I want to say thank you. First of all, the only issue I have is safety. Some of the drivers do not properly secure the scooter. Most of the time, they're the newer ones. I think a lot of the drivers, especially the older ones, they're phenomenal. They know their job. They do a great job, and I want to say thank you to all of them. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Eric,
You want to take?
Right there.
Voice activated.
Awesome, awesome. Eric Lutz, Orange County. I've been very impressed this year with the service. Main reason is that I use Userve, and they've been amazing. Polite staff, clean vehicles. I also, whose ever decision it was to extend their hours, I applaud you as a 12-year veteran of the service. You don't know how much it means for me to get an efficient ride to my full-time job, plus my speaking engagements, plus my opportunities to support local Orlando businesses, AKA going out to eat. The only my concern is for user of the app, once the car arrives, if you can make it where we could contact them directly instead of waiting for them to contact us first, so we have their number through the app, that would be good. Also, I've been very impressed. I've been on the vans and the buses this year 10% of the time, and Big Star as well, and I've been for the most part, very impressed with them. In my opinion, they've gotten more efficient. And I always like to do public positive shout outs. So real quickly, positive shout out for customer service for Sherman, Lizelle, Cilio, Angie, and Georgia. Nighttime customer service, gotta give shout outs to Vicky and Michael. And then dispatch, Miss Cooper, Melissa, Jennifer, and Joan. That's going to be it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you,
And thank you
Eric.
for your service.
Next is June Aldrich, and then Lindy Sands and Daryl Perry, in that order.
I'm June Aldridge from Seminole County. I'm here for my daughter, Christina. She's 25. She's on the spectrum, has seizure disorder. So she uses Access Links for all her transportation because I and my husband both work full-time. I'm sorry, I've never done this before. We appreciate that she can get around on her own, and she's high functioning, so she has a job and she can get around, but they are excessively late to work. I've got a list here of 8 dates in just the last month and a half that she has been 40 minutes, an hour late to work. She's on the verge of losing her job because she's late so much. There's another instance. She called in, she works at Disney's Boardwalk. She called in to dispatch and gave the exact address, and they took her to a different location twice. The dispatcher told her that she didn't know what she was talking about. I got a text message from her where they actually said, "You don't know what you're talking about." She doesn't know how to deal with situations like that. So one time the bus driver did call and they fixed the situation. They got her where she needed to go. The second time, they put her off the bus 20 minutes from where she needed to be. I'm in Seminole County. She's at Disney. It took 2 hours to get somebody to her to help her. She was hysterical. It was hot. It was a really, really bad situation. And I was concerned for her safety. That should not be happening. And in that instance, I called 3 different times. I called Links, just the normal service, and they put a note that this is the address she goes to always. No other address. If she says she's going to work, she will always go to this address. But then they gave me a separate number for dispatch supervisor. I called 3 different times, left 3 different messages, never got a call back. And that's an ongoing problem. We never get calls back. So those are my biggest concerns. Just that I appreciate the service, but it needs some improvements. Thank you. Thank you, June.
Next, Ms. Lindy Sands. My name is Linda Sands. Linda, my apologies. And then Daryl Perry. and Catherine Velazquez.
I live in Seminole County. I have arthritis. I'm 68. I had this service when I lived in New York City, and so I have it here. And I've been speaking to all of you. And I was here last year, November 9th, with the same story. Last Thursday, I was in the bus, and the driver came to pick me up, which is a driver that I always have. He made a small turn. I fell out of the seat. The seat belt popped completely open, and I fell from one side to the other. The only thing that happened was that 3 of my dentures broke. You people need to get it together. The next situation is that when you're booking a trip, I was on the phone today for 45 minutes. I call at 8 o'clock. When I speak to the same customer service people that are wonderful, wonderful. The customer service here is 100%. The dispatchers is 100%. The deal is that you're on the phone, the call starts at 8 o'clock. You know what time they get to me? 8:45. Like, that's all I have to do. By the time they do get to me, sometimes the phone cuts off and I got to call back to book a trip. Doesn't make any sense. I've had the same conversation 3 years ago. I don't know what you people doing, but what I see, I shouldn't have this conversation again. This morning, I live at 504 McCall Lane, apartment 3 in Castleberry. I've been living there 5 years. The driver is at 120. I had to get the maintenance people that's on a golf cart to go tell the driver to come get me. You know why? Because they get frustrated and they leave me and they do me as a cancel, which is not true. It's happened many, many times. I am very aggravated and tired. You need to get it together.
Thank you, Ms. Sands. Next is Daryl Perry, Catherine Velazquez, and Loxley Cameron.
Thank the board for having this meeting. This is my first meeting after been with you all for about 6 years. And thank you for improving the service. Keep it up. And thank you all for great service. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perry. Catherine Velazquez, good morning.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for having us. This is my first time also. I just have a lot of concerns because, one, like other people said, I've always been late to my appointments. I go to physical and occupational therapy all the way in Kissimmee. I live in Orange County. Sometimes the bus driver gets to me. They're supposed to pick me up from 8:30 to 9. Sometimes the drivers don't get to 9:15. And there's no way sometimes they're going to be able to take me all the way to Kissimmee because they have somebody else they got to drop off or pick up, and I get to my appointments late. I have to pay for those appointments. Whether I get there an hour or I get there 45 minutes, they still charge me the same amount of money, what you people don't understand. And that comes out of my pocket. I pay for my own transportation out of my pocket. Also, you guys are late. If we're late, like everybody said, we get penalized for it, and that's not fair. Because some of us have disability and there's some of us can't make it and be up at a certain time and move as fast as other people can move. We can only get there. And so I'm the type of person, I don't like to be late. I'm sitting outside sometimes in front of my house, waiting for an hour because nobody shows up. And then they don't call you, they don't tell you nothing. That's not right, okay? I mean, we're humans just like everybody else, and the disability people always get pushed to the side. Your buses, you gotta fix those buses. They're so unsafe. Those belts are unsafe, they're dirty, they're unsanitized, then they're just horrible. And we in wheelchairs, we need to be comfortable, and we can't sit in the bus for 3 hours, you driving us all the way around town. It's unfair. And you guys need to work harder, not smart. You could work smarter, not harder, and do drives by sections instead of having these bus drivers travel from the east side to the west side to the north side. It's crazy. Y'all don't think about other people's feelings and what they go through? Thank you for listening to me, and I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you for being here, and thank you for your comments today. Loxley Cameron, Janetta Batts, and then Felicia Bristol, in that order.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, thanks. Good morning. My name is Loxley Cameron, and I live in Orange County, Winter Garden. My issue is that I call in a couple of times and make complaint and suggestion. But sometimes you don't see nothing, you don't hear about nothing about the complaint or suggestion. The driver would pick me up at I live in 2.5 miles from where I work. And the driver would pick me up, take me to pick someone else up, and take me 10 miles away from where I am living, and go and would pick somebody else up. And I said, why do you do that? That's the instruction I received. What I also think is that the drivers, they need lots of behavioral training. Some of them are very rude, very discourteous. They don't treat us like somebody. I was talking to a driver the other day. I said, make a turn here. And he ignores. And I said, why are you? And then I assert that I'm an intelligent person. I know what I'm saying. I have a master's degree. I have this. And when I said that, that's when he started to respond. And I said, why do I have to tell who I am before I'm being treated with respect? A driver was telling me the other day that they have to tell the people, don't treat the passenger like baggage. They come and they pick you up and they drop you, and you cannot make a suggestion or anything.
Mr. Cameron, thank you so much. We appreciate your comments. That is your time. Ms. Jonetta Batts, Felicia Bristol, and Deletti.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Johnetta Batts, and I am very grateful for the opportunity to speak before the board. My concern is that I had a medical emergency and was unable to contact Links to let them know. I had scheduled an appointment for that day, but I was admitted into the hospital and was unable to call to cancel the scheduled trip. So I'd like to know if you have some kind of recourse for being able to, if a person has a medical emergency and cannot cancel the trip. And I received this notice in the mail saying that, I guess, I'm not sure if it's a cancellation notice or what, but I received this. And I don't want to be canceled, as I depend on the bus service to get me to my doctor's appointments. So that's my concern, and thank you for the opportunity to speak before you.
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Batts. We will have someone to speak with you. Thank you. Ms. Felicia Bristol, and the last speaker is Delati? Okay. Thank you for being here, Ms. Bristol. If you will state your name and county of residence.
My name is Felicia Bristol, and I'm Orange County resident. The issue that I have is that the long waits, and also I have medical doctor's appointments, and also being to work late. Also, with the medical doctor's appointments, there has been issues where I've had to cancel, And then there was also where I've had surgery canceled because of Access Links being late. Physical therapy, late. The long waits. Also, when you have to wait 2 and 3 hours, that is unacceptable. I appreciate the service, but when you have medical conditions, I just recently had foot surgery. I depend on your service. I have to have physical therapy even now. I have to go to physical therapy where my doctor requires me to have it. If I don't go, sometimes they require, and once they do all that physical therapy, the pressure and all that, sometimes I could barely hardly walk. And when you do all that, that's not good. But thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here, Ms. Priscilla, and for your comments. Our final speaker is Dipti. My apologies.
Thank you.
Your name and county of residence for the record, please.
My name is Dipti Valand. I am in the Orange County as well as in the Seminole County on the border. My request is for sometimes I have a multiple rides, and that's why if we miss one ride, then we have to suffer for the whole ride, especially the first. So is it possible to give a will call for the first ride, or we can get any other option for that so that we can reach on time our appointments and everything? And second is my airport timing schedule means if we are going, we have to book a day before, then it's after 12 o'clock, 12 to 5 something. What is that? I don't know about that exactly. And thank you very much for your wonderful service, and I appreciate all drivers, dispatch office, supervisor, and all wonderful staffs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you again. And staff is here, and they will speak with you. Madam Chair, that is the final in-person comment. Not sure if you wanted to make some comments before I move into the written comments that we received.
What? To be efficient with our time, we'll let you do the written comments, and just in case if there's anyone in the board that needed a clarification or a question, we'll open it up at that time, but I'll let Ms. Virginia kind of finish all the public comments at this time. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. The first comment name is Rich Precourt. Express appreciation for Access Links and the improvements that have been made since partnering with UServe. Concerned with the communication process regarding ETAs, suggest that a direct access be given to the UServe Rider app. Would also like to see improvements in the technology that pinpoints a rider's location for pickup. Finally, the customer service is also inconsistent. Some ETA representatives have been unclear or unpleasant, and wait times are excessively long. He did want to emphasize that the UServe drivers have been exceptional and friendly, and it is the communication system that makes it difficult or hard. Next commenter, Willie May. The service that I've received is very courteous, professional, and the best of the best drivers. I appreciate and thank you. Michelle Roberts. I'm a recipient of Access Links, have a disability with restrictions. There is a known document that substantiates the fact that I need a ride with UServe, and she feels that she's received threats from some of the employees regarding this issue. She appreciates Access Links, their great customer service, and looks forward to moving forward with that provider. The next comment is Rowana Backus. Access Links is a great service. I appreciate the fact that all of the drivers have been very helpful to me. They often ask if I need help with my seatbelt or putting down my backpack. Next commenter, Joel Cohen. I can't say enough on Access Links, either their service or their drivers. They are all superb. They've given me one thing, they've given freedom. I can't medically drive anymore. Without them, I would be a prisoner in my own home. I am 83 years old. They're a godsend and a blessing. I can't say enough for that service. I hope they continue for many years to come. Next commenter, Helen Varnell. The only problem I have with Access Links is the amount of time you have to hold when calling in. It's usually 30 to 45 minutes. Occasionally it's less than that, but usually 30 to 45 minutes. The drivers are absolutely wonderful. They come out, they are very helpful, they are very kind. I really appreciate the rides. The next commenter is a translation from Spanish to English. I am very satisfied with the service of Access Links. The next commenter is, I'm sorry, that was Chantel DeWallace. Next commenter, June Haygood. Access Links allows me to keep my independence and not rely on friends. Her concerns are with the extended hold time when calling to check the status of the ride, and the GPS system, and there was some confusion with fees for zones within trips that she recently took. There was an increase from $4 to $7, and she did not understand that. Next commenter, Nadia Lopez. I'm very grateful for you guys for this service that you're providing to the elderly and the disabled. She's been a rider for many, many years. Her concern is that she's been picked up late and that when she gets to an appointment, it was unintelligible, it comes as a no-show. So she's concerned with being marked a no-show when she arrives at, if she's late for her ride. The next commenter, Janet Leto. Her daughter has developmental disabilities and uses transportation to get to work and appointments. It's been difficult at times to schedule rides. The wait times are better, but you can still be on hold for 5 to 10 minutes. There have been many times that the buses arrive half hour to an hour late. We've needed to schedule her pickup for an hour to an hour and a half before her job start time to avoid her getting to work late. There's been times that the buses was in the area of her daughter's house, but drove past her house to drop someone else off first, and which meant an extra hour on instead of just dropping her off and proceeding to the next. Next commenter is Wanda Busley. My concerns are when calling about delays, they always have excuses. A courtesy call would be appreciated to advise if a ride is running late. A rider can lose privileges if we miss our rides, but what happens when Access Links are the problem? I've complained many times about my son being late at his destination. I've never heard back. GPS is old, takes drivers the long way. Whenever I call, it takes so long for someone to answer. I hope these comments are heard and changes are made. Next commenter, Matthew Jaworski. I use Access Links for my transportation needs. I know things cannot be perfect, but a lot of people have similar complaints. I get dropped off late. I'm blind. I go to Lighthouse Orlando several times a month. When I'm getting my return ride, it has taken anywhere from an hour to up to 3 hours. I've been asked if I'm going home. I do some work from home. I have appointments, but I have been treated like garbage when I complained. This is not just me. Several people from Lighthouse have said the same thing. I do not know if you will respond to this, but I hope it can be addressed. Next commenter, A.G. Sapita. I refer to a specific complaint that I submitted to Access Links in October regarding an incident involving my father, who is a client. I have not received a response yet and would look forward to hearing back from someone. We will provide this reference number to Links for them to follow up instead of reading this for the record. Next commenter, Donald Jones. I just leave a comment using it. I'm handicapped and I use a walker. The drivers have always been good to me. I only have had maybe one incident where one wasn't good for me, but I thank you very much for your service. I hope you'll continue to provide it for people like myself. Thank you very much. Next commenter, Stephen Benz. The only request I would request with access links if the vehicles can be made a bit more clean, and that is about it. Thank you. Next commenter, Ida Gonzalez Campbell. I've been using access links for a couple of months now. The drivers are very polite. They help with the bags. The cars are clean. I like it as it is reasonable also. So the only thing I'm going to complain about is the waiting times. Sometimes it takes 15 minutes for someone to pick up the phone. I'm going to give you 90%. That's pretty good because everything is good. I think this is marvelous that you can use the service if you have some kind of disability, that you can take us safely where we go and then pick us up. I think this is awesome. Thank you very much. Next commenter, Dashina Clear. I am a dialysis patient who uses the Links service. I often wonder if I lived in a more affluent neighborhood, if I would be treated better. Passengers are not taken into consideration when picked up from dialysis. For example, a patient just getting off the machine is weak and tired and doesn't want to ride around town picking up passengers from Disney and Walmart. I live approximately 7 minutes from my dialysis facility, but sometimes I get home until 2 to 3 hours later. I don't get home until 2 to 3 hours later after dialysis. And also having traveled to Kissimmee and other cities on occasion. I've just completed dialysis, which I feel very inhumane to be scheduled in that order, riding the Lynx bus or van that length of time. We're patients, treat us better, please. Next commenter, Brenda Nicely Mead. I'm writing to request on-demand service be added to the paratransit program. I recently lived in Richmond, Virginia. They offered on-demand paratransit programs such as USERV as part of their paratransit service. The on-demand service is so very appreciated for several reasons. It allows me more independence. As a rider, I don't always know 24 hours in advance that I need a ride. Events and appointments arise quickly, and we really need an on-demand service. I think Access Links should introduce a service here in Orlando. If any questions, please call me. Next commenter, Cheryl McInnes. Good afternoon to you. I'm posting my comment in hope that it will improve the service. I like the service. I need the service to help me and to improve some things with the service. I need you all to improve the reservation times to 6 p.m. and give us more time. Unfortunately, Ms. McInnes's comment was sent electronically, but she wrote everything in the subject line and it cut off. So we don't have any additional text. We tried to reach out to her, but we weren't able to reach her. Two additional comments. Gloria Mendez. My concern is it takes too long to answer the phone. Also, a trip that takes only 10 or 20 minutes to get back home, and I have to wait up to 2 hours to get back home. I'm handicapped and have diabetes, so I cannot wait standing up too long. I've been using the bus for years, and it is always Since the neighborhood link is accessible to people with disabilities and only requires a 2-hour reservation, why can't Access Links have the same reservation option? You do not always know when you are done at the doctor's appointment. Also, using the current paratransit is a challenge. Madam Chair, that completes all of the written comments and phone messages that we received. There were 2 additional comments that were regarding fixed route, and as mentioned earlier, we've sent those over to Links.
Thank you, Virginia. I appreciate all the comments. I want to just say, many of you I've had the pleasure of knowing, Sheila and all of you all that are just such strong advocates for our community. Thank you for taking the time to come out today and share your concerns. This is a board that we're constantly trying to work to improve things. I do want to acknowledge Norm here from Links, and I see that the company that does the ridership providers also in the back. And many of us have actually gone and visited the offices of the ridership to see how they function and how they take in trips, how do they dispatch and things like that. But what's important is your feelings. Some of these words that we hear honestly are unacceptable. They're not acceptable for you. They're not acceptable for anybody. And you can trust that this board is very, very aware, and we're here because of that. I'll just share very briefly. My mother used Access Links for 7 years. She was a dialysis patient, and I know those stories. And there were plenty of times that I had to go pick up my mom because she was sitting there many hours. So we do know it, but I do realize that now is better than what it was, okay? And I don't believe that anyone who does provide the service does not want to provide quality service. And so with that, I do want to allow my board, if there's any questions, comments, something that would like to be said. And if you will, just so I make sure I don't miss you or wave your arm, but I'm going to start over here all the way to my right.
Hi, I'm
Hi.
Cheryl. I'm Cheryl Stone. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak. I really appreciate all of you taking time out of your lives to come and speak to us. It's very, very important. And it's a nice balance to hear that there are parts of the service that you can give compliments to, because you're generous and understanding people, and keep letting us know about the problems that you have, and we'll steadily keep working on them. I became involved in this 15, 20 years ago because a driver made me cry, and nobody makes me cry. So here I am, still working on it, and I know what you're talking about, but hang in there, and with your help, we'll make it better.
Nobody puts Cheryl in a corner.
No.
Oh, sorry, I
I
had
cha-
to.
I
She set me up, sorry, okay?
I chained myself to the vehicle once so nobody else could get out, so they took me home.
And I think that cry was frustration and anger combined with disappointment. And
Yeah, I worked 12-hour shifts, and they didn't pick me up till 10. I got off at 7. I worked 7 to 7.
Right.
So it was, ugly.
do we have any other comments? Did you want to say anything?
Well, it's always hard being the second person, All the good information is, is already gone. So, but no, as a rider, I understand some of the frustrations. It's not a perfect service, but I will tell you, riding 5 or 6 days a week, round trips, that most of the people involved with our transportation programs do really care. And again, it's not a perfect system, and some people have bad days, and sometimes there are accidents on many of the highways at the same time. But we do understand, and we are trying to make things better.
Anybody else here on the right that wanted to? My board usually is so silent, so I'm excited that they are, they may want to have an opportunity, because I think, like I said, we all serve here because we care about this community, and everyone here on this board is committed to this. Is there anyone? I welcome. Yes, sir.
My name is Calvin Smith. I work with the Agency for Healthcare Administration, and I hear these stories every day. And believe me, we are working on these issues, and Links will, kind of fix and help out with whatever issues you all are facing. So just trust that it's being worked on, and we do hear you.
Okay, and now nobody else on my right? No? Okay, don't be shy. It's open mic day. Anyone to my left? Miss Baldwin, yes, ma'am.
Good morning. I want to thank everyone for coming out. I am also a rider that is legally blind, hearing impaired, and I have mobility issues. I use the service for medical appointments and community meetings, so I understand the frustration that you have. Once in a while, I have a pickup that is late or a problem with the phone too, but the majority of our trips are good, and everyone here, our board members, our Access Link staff, Metro Plan. We all want to make the system work better for you. The one request that I would have is that each of you reach your elected officials and let them know how badly we need additional funding to help our program, to do some of the things that you're wanting, like demand response. It does come down to funding and money. Thank you for coming.
I want to, as an elected official sitting here next to Mayor Bates, we know, and I do want to echo what Ms. Baldwin said. Let your commissioner know at the city, at the county, let that voice be heard. The voice is heard here, and we are advocates, but absolutely, we need you all to continue to advocate for more funding, for more services. I want to move on. Anyone else? Did you want to say anything?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nika Berry, and I'm the citizen advocate. And I just want to echo what's been stated. We really do appreciate the feedback, the positive and the areas of concern. And just, I want to reiterate that that Links cares. I've heard the term quite a bit today that many are felt as though they don't, but they really work really hard. And as a board, we really work hard to try to improve the system. They really do care. Unfortunately, there are some situations that you just don't have control over, but we do appreciate you bringing it to our attention. And just to reassure you that we're going to work our best to try to resolve some of the issues. And just keep in mind, nothing happens overnight. It's a process. And everything that Ms. Baldwin stated regarding reaching out to your elected officials, it's a process to resolve some of your issues. But for the most part, things are going really well. We appreciate that, and we really do appreciate your feedback.
Thank you. Anyone else to the left here? I want to echo, Links does care. When I got on this board, Norm Hinkling had hair, and he doesn't anymore. I love to give him a hard time, so if you guys ever come to the meetings, I always do give him a hard time, and he looks forward to it. Anything else? Ms. Charlotte, anything? No? Okay. So we do have one more presentation that we're going to hear. I think in the future, we need to set more time aside, because I think last year we almost went 2 hours on public comments, right, Mayor? But we didn't want to rush you, even though she said 10 to 10:30. This is your time to be heard, to be seen. And like I said, find out your local city commissioner, if you live in a city, your county commissioner, all the way up. They need to know that there is a group of people who are very concerned and need more access to services. So with that being said, we are going to move on to Ms. Holly, who has a presentation for us. Holly, you are recognized. Thank you.
Well, hello. I am Gail Hawley, and I work for the Florida Department of Transportation up in Tallahassee. And I've been doing this program now for 20 years. But more importantly, I've been a caregiver. My daughter is in a wheelchair for over 30 years. So I never thought I would say that in a presentation, but it was so fitting here because I do understand both sides. And so I really hope that you hear some of the resources and the information that I'm going to be sharing comes from that. And, not just for myself, but, I'm really fortunate to be working with some amazing people that really feel the same way. So next slide, please. Just jump right in. Okay, so a little bit about, I should tell the title. I'm here to talk about our Safe Mobility for Life program. And what is Safe Mobility for Life? It is actually a program in the Florida Department of Transportation. I will. I'm talking about Safe Mobility for Life, and on the slide itself, it has the logos of some of the organizations that are part of our coalition. So we have the Florida Department of Transportation, and then we actually partnered with the Pepper Institute on Aging and Public Policy at Florida State University. And together we formed this statewide coalition. It's filled with, there's a lot of logos on there. There's representing folks from healthcare, from transportation. We have AARP on there. We have the Metropolitan Planning Organization, which Metro Plan is part of, or Plan Orlando is part of. There's a lot of different groups on here representing, just like I said, healthcare, licensing, transportation, and we have the Commission for Transportation Disadvantaged is on our coalition as well as the Florida Public Transportation Association. So all together, we are working to improve the safety, access, and mobility of our aging population. But I will say that what we do and our focus is on aging, it helps everyone, and I'll show you a little bit more about that. Next slide. So our goal is actually, there's a logo on the screen of our Target Zero, which is Florida's goal to eliminate fatalities and serious injuries for Florida's aging road users, but while maintaining safe mobility and connection to the community. So let me just tell you, when we say what an aging road user, we describe it as anyone over the age of 50. We do have a special emphasis on 65, but it's not just drivers. It is passengers, it is paratransit riders, transit riders, pedestrians, bicyclists, even motorcyclists. So that is who we're all trying to address. We really want to make sure that we meet everybody's needs by keeping everybody safe. Next slide. So I'm not sure if you know, but addressing the transportation needs of Florida's aging road users really does help everyone. And on the next slide, I'm going to prove it to you guys. So the proof is actually on the roadway itself. So on this slide, there's some pictures of different things that you see out on the roadway. You see high emphasis crosswalks. You see advanced street name signs and larger lettering. You see wider pavement markings and more warning signs. And that actually, the department has been working on this since the 1990s. And those things were actually put on the road and committed to the safety and how to plan for transportation for an aging society. So not everyone sees the connection between the two, but it's kind of cool that you go, that's on the roadway now, but that came from our program. So we're trying to continue and doing that in the mobility field as well. So on the next slide. So the pictures are of a car driving down the road with wider pavement markings, some advanced street name signs that say like a street name and next signal, and then also like a crosswalk. So what we've done is the department realized that we were not going to be able to keep up with the aging population, the trends, and projections and the increases if we only focused on the roadway. So it's really important that we focus and understand, you know, it's not just about driving, it's about getting to and from the places that you need and want to go, whether you're driving or not. So we really, Safe Mobility for Life created this message where we want to empower everyone to hold the keys, that you hold the keys to your own transportation future. And we want people to understand the impact that aging does have on driving, to be proactive about safe driving skills, and then also to help plan for a safe transition. Next slide. And we also promote mobility independence. And so this is something where we want everyone to stay safe, mobile, and connected to your communities using all different types of modes, not counting on one mode in particular to get you to and from the places you need to go. And so it's also learning transportation options beyond the personal vehicle. And like I said, that's safe access to the places. So, you know, where you have your services here, but then there's other services as well that can be tied in to help, you know, you get from place to place. So on the next slide, just, you know, how can you maintain mobility independence? We're really saying use our resources. So I'm going to talk about a few of them you might not know about, but then we're in the back there. I know you got time. So we do, we're going to be back there. We have a table, and we'd be more than happy to walk you through any of the resources I'm going to talk about. So next slide. So this most important one, I'm not sure if you guys are aware, but we partnered with the University of Florida to create a database. It's a transportation database, findarideflorida.org. And what this database does, it really connects you with those other options. And some things that are different about it is that you can actually go in and enter the address that you're traveling from, where you want to go. You can filter it down and say whether you want to go for shopping, for education, for work, or for medical, and then you're able to do a search, and it comes up with those options. So on the screen here, I've put, there's like a QR code, but again, we're going to be in the back there to, be able to share this with you. All right, next slide. So I'm going to walk you through just briefly on how to use Find a Ride. On the next slide, there you go. So there's 3 steps, really. Again, one is that you visit the site, and then you can actually go in and enter the information. And I will say that the site is done in, it can be converted to Spanish. It is for low vision users as well. So there's other options in there to really put that information in there. And then there are, again, some of those filters that you even can click whether you're over 60 or not, if you need to have an escort from the vehicle, or that you need accommodations for a wheelchair. So you enter the information of where you want to go, and then you're going to click on that Find a Ride at the bottom. And then on the next slide is going to be step 2, where it's going to really give you, let you browse and understand your results. Be able to go in there and see, based on the criteria of where you want to go, what is available to you. And so, some of the providers include, you are going to see public transit, community transportation, but if it has travel training as well, the use of public transportation, but then there's other transportation providers that are on there that you might not be aware of that can, meet your needs. And I would like to say, though, it is a database, so we're just putting it out there. And for everybody, so that way it gives you the options for you to do, to make your right decisions. So on step 3, on the next slide, you are going to be able then to see, once you click on and see you click on the provider, you can actually see all the different information. So on the screen, it actually has, like this one I chose was like the iRide trolley, and it'll give you all the information of the contact information, the information about eligible riders, if there's special accommodations that they do, and then also costs and, hours of transportation, if there's any other information that's needed. So really trying to put this in one place, because ultimately the decisions on transportation is up to the individual, right? You know exactly what you need and to make that happen. So on the next slide. All right, so for there we have resources on how to use it, right? Because that's the most important thing, is I can show you here and say click here and do this, but we do have educational tip cards. We're really trying to make sure we show people again how to use it. But then also the good thing about Find a Ride is it has a helpline. There's actually, through the University of Florida, they have a person, if you can call, leave a message, and they'll get back with you and help you sort through the site. Like, not everybody can use it. Not everyone has access to a computer. So that's just this way that we really want to make sure that people can be heard and can figure out what those options are for you. We've also developed some videos that are posted on YouTube that walk you through it, kind of answering some of those questions and show people a little bit more how to do it. So that's a great resource that it's available on there. And I wanted to share some stories, though, because like I was saying, that this really helps people meet the needs. And by taking these calls, we really get this idea. We hear from people and then are able to help them find their way. And just one example is like someone who didn't have any more credits for well care for a cancer, going to their cancer appointments, but then the American Cancer Society does have transportation. And so, being able to know what that is going to really help. The other resource, just to let you know, is we do have options in using a whole series on educational materials on how to use other transportation options. We really created these materials, answering questions, what holds people back from using them. And so these are written in a way that you can really easily be able to use them. And again, that information's back there. On the next slide, I'm wrapping up. I'm sorry. Okay. I just want to just plug this, there are resources for family caregivers. I think that's the most important thing to know. And then also we have information for how to use transportation for people with memory loss. We have not only for the caregivers themselves, but then also resources for the providers as well. Next slide. Wrapping up. I just want to remind you guys that you hold the future to your transportation future, what you can do now, help create a plan, and that we're here to help. And so, yeah, just come see us and our resources, and we'll be more than happy to help you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that information. I want to echo, as you had that slide of Vision Zero, it is absolutely, FDOT is 100% committed to creating a safe, fostering environment that is inclusive. And I want to thank Sheila because we did the blind experience, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but you would not realize how bad the streets are. From unevenness, and one of the things, and some of you all have done this, when you cross the street, it's not actually perfect crossing. You know, it is at an angle, there's little holes, there's bumps. You never realize how lifted concrete is until you do that. And then one thing, and of course our other senses are stronger, the sense of hearing goes up a lot more. But one of my biggest challenges that I realized, my biggest takeaways, I didn't know if I was going north, south, east, or west when I did that, you know, and it was in the middle of the day. Yeah, yeah, and you know, I know that they say, well, sometimes when the sun comes up or the sun comes down, but we were at a time when the sun was just there. So I remember my husband, and I want to echo, he could have tossed me over, but he let me be safe.
We
were
actually have a
good.
clip at the next meeting that we're going to share.
Okay.
So
Yeah, but I
don't
said,
give it away.
where are we? I was like, which way am I? I'm like, are we going north? He's like, no, we're going east. And I'm like, oh, you know. So, and this is where I want to thank DOT, because this is something all of us, and Mayor here knows that Vision Zero is a priority for us, because on top of we don't want vehicle traffic, we don't want pedestrian traffic, accidents. We want people to feel safe when they're out there, whether you're walking, whether you're in a wheelchair, at any capacity that you are walking your dog with impairments or completely having all of your health in check. So that is a very big priority for DOT. I believe, are there any questions from the board for Holly? Seeing none at this time, I also want to take a moment to thank Orange TV, who is recording this and has this being broadcasted. So if you're very excited and have nothing to do tonight, tune in and watch us all over again. And with that, we're going to officially close our public comment portion of our meeting. We will be moving directly into our regularly scheduled TDLCB meeting. I just want to check with my board. Does anyone need a break? Are we okay to just move forward? Anybody? Okay, so thank you everyone for being here. You are welcome to stay, but you are also, just want you to know that the portion of the meeting that all the public comment took place has gone on. I want to go ahead and officially call the Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board meeting. Thank you very much. And I want to call the meeting to order. My name again is Myra Uribe. I'm chairperson of the LSB. We're going to move forward since we've already done the Pledge of Allegiance and move forward again. I want to thank everyone. I just had a few little announcements. Oh, I want to call Miss Berry with our QATF report to give some comment.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning again, everyone. Nika Berry. I'm the chair for the Quality Assurance Task Force. Our team met October 29th. Action items for us included approval of our 2025 QATF meeting schedule. We also reviewed and recommended approval of the annual expenditure report and the annual operating report. We did review applications to fill vacancies on the TDLCB. Madam Chair, our recommendations are presented as part of the agenda today. Would you like for me to present them now or wait until we reach that point of the agenda?
You know what? Let's wait. Let's go on and go with our agenda. Go ahead.
Okay, so we'll wait for that. We did have presentations, which included the CTC update from Mr. Norm Hickling. We'll hear later today. And then our next meeting is scheduled for January 28th, 2025, and this concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your report. Moving on, I want to say thank you to everyone who participated in the blind experience on October 30th. Staff has a short video clip to share from us with the event, and I guess now we're ready. I'm a little hesitant, but everybody tune in.
Now we're getting ready to transition to the blind experience.
On the video is Commissioner Uribe being escorted across the street during the blind experience.
Right on. And even though I wasn't sure, there was no car next to me, it felt like I could touch a car. That's how elevated the noise was of the vehicle.
A transformational experience. Every transportation needs to come and experience this so they can be a better professional.
Okay, so I'm going to describe a little. I would have fallen if if my husband wasn't there, and this is where I talk about the road and how uneven it is, and he was being very descriptive. It was an awakening. It was just very surreal. We've done this a couple times in different areas of town. I think the first year we did it on Gore and Orange Avenue, then we did down by City Hall, and then this year we were on Orange Blossom Trail and I believe Church, was it Church? South Street and Orange Blossom Trail. And I got to tell you, a lot of the cars, and mind you, there were police cars on the road because we were doing this, and it didn't matter. Cars were going. And so if you can imagine, you see, normally all of us, if we're driving, we see police cars, we take our foot off the gas, hopefully, and we're extra cautious. And it was insane how much the cars were just still like there was nothing. And seeing a group of people blindfolded on the street. So clearly there was something going on. So when we talk about being seen and being heard and being understood, this is just a reiteration of it takes not only, the drivers, they've got to learn and be more sympathetic and empathetic, and also the people who are walking have to feel safe. So that was a little bit experience. So thank you guys all. All right. We want to thank our partners, the Florida Department of Transportation, Links, the National Federation of the Blind Central Florida chapter, as well as the Greater Orlando Council of the Blind, Lighthouse Central Florida, Bike Walk Central Florida, the City of Orlando, and OPD. I'd also like to recognize staff for serving on the planning team, Ms. Whittington and Sarah Larson. I certainly want to recognize Ms. Sheila Young and Ms. Marilyn Baldwin, who helped plan the event. Marilyn, would you like to share anything from the event?
I just think that it was a wonderful opportunity to have our law enforcement present. The location was wonderful, and it is a learning experience for our community because it is amazing to me how many riders are not aware of the Florida white cane law, which requires that motorists yield the wider way to blind and mobility impaired pedestrians. So thank you to MetroPlan and FDOT, all of our sponsors, for their assistance.
Thank you, Ms. Baldwin. I also want to acknowledge one thing very good that we had this year is we had media there from the Hispanic television stations. And I think this was the first time, Virginia, that we had them participate, and they were actually doing stories on individuals that are disabled and have to maneuver in this community in Spanish, who are not familiar with the English language. So I commended the news stations for being there and making sure this was front and center attention for all communities. Inclusivity is everyone. So thank you, Ms. Baldwin, and it was great to share that moment with you also. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and move over to Ms. Berry with the report from the Quality Assurance Task Force. Ms. Berry, you're recognized.
Yeah, she gave her
Whole thing?
report,
You
yeah.
did the whole thing? Okay, she was so efficient. She is done. And now we're going to
thank her one more time. And Ms. Whittington, you are up for agenda review and announcements.
Okay, Madam Chair and members, thank you again for being here today, and thank you all who stayed over for this meeting. There's some really important information that we want to ensure that you get. Want to say thank you to TransDev, who is our food sponsor for today, before I forget to do that. And also, once again, to thank everyone who participated in the blind experience. Madam Chair and members, we did have a staff change at Metro Plan Orlando. Cynthia Lambert is no longer with Metro Plan Orlando. She's decided to take a period of personal reflection before she decides what she wants to do next. And we were sad to see her go, but we did wish her well in her decision. But we're grateful today that Marianne Horn, and just before you say her name, she walks in the room, right? Marianne has been promoted to Public Information Manager at Metro Plan Orlando. Marianne she's been with us a little more than 12 years. She worked very, very closely with Cynthia, and we were just delighted to be able to promote her from within, and we are sure that she will continue to help our organization be held up as a model throughout the state. And speaking of being held up, this board received the Disadvantaged 2024 Designated Planning Agency of the Year Award. So we're really excited that we were recognized as a planning agency and planner that goes beyond the scope of their work to support the Transportation Disadvantaged Program by exceeding their scope in assisting transportation disadvantaged citizens. So we thank you for being the best board in the state, and we hope that at the end of the meeting that we will be able to take a picture with all of us together. And speaking of recognitions, at our May meeting, I believe it was, either May or August, Marilyn Baldwin suggested that we recognize some Access Links employees. It's this time of the year that we do hear some of the challenges that the riders have, but we do realize that Access Links does have a team that works very, very hard to make sure that there is a quality of service and that they do treat people as best they can. And we have some employees that we want to recognize for the length of time that they have been serving in this role and the community that they've served. And so at this time, I'm going to invite Joey Hogan, if he will come forward, and he's going to recognize these 4 employees. And once he presents the award, we're going to have the employee come and stand between Commissioner Uribe and Ms. Berry. And we'll have the chair, vice chair, if you will stand, Ms. Berry as the chair of the Quality Assurance Task Force, and Ms. Baldwin, if you will stand, they will stand in between you, and we'll get a picture that way of each of the employees as they come forward. And with that, Joey. I have Alicia Cross, who 22 years. Alicia Cross. She is an Access Links driver. She will come forward.
Come on, and she's a pickle. We had the pleasure of meeting her. She keeps everything in check.
I think it's really cool. When we talk about this, Alicia starts her route every day at 1:45 in the morning. Wow. So when we're all just hitting that, so my team and everybody involved here is so special. While we're sleeping and everything, they're out there doing it.
She might be ready for bed now.
Oh, she is. Thank you.
And next is, as she's getting her photo, Rafael Ortiz, also a Links driver, Access Links driver, 22 years. Mr. Ortiz, if you will come over to here. Yeah. And again, this is Rafael Ortiz, 22 plus years as a Links driver, Access Links driver.
He sleeps until 4. He's not.
Awesome. Thank you for your service. Awesome.
On Shirley.
Shirley Witherspoon, dispatch manager, 22+ years.
Shirley.
Consistency, hard on me, but she's been serving this for way over 22 years.
I think a lot of
and
people would be hard on you.
Wonderful people.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm an easy target.
In the middle.
You're in the middle.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Ms. Baldwin. Oh, I Ms. Baldwin. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Congratulations to all of the Links employees. We had one also for Michael Brooks, who is Access Links maintenance technician for 22 years. He was not feeling well, so he could not be here today, so we want to still congratulate him. So thank you, Joey, and thank you to Access Links. And Madam Chair, Norm has some recognitions that he would also like to make. I think he has some staff that he invited here as well.
I did, and I want to thank Joy and all the team from Transdev there. But we also, at Links, with us, we have Salita Stubbs, our senior manager. You've met her before, obviously. We have Lindy Castillo, and Lindy is our manager of customer service. We have Ben Gonzalez, and Ben's helping, as he always does. But then we also, and Lindy, if I could have you come up and you can talk a little bit about your supervisors. We have 3 supervisors that we really wanted you all to meet. I know that there was a lot of discussion about time and the answering the phones and things like that. But there is a core group of 3 ladies who work there. I'm going to say it, they work their asses off for us. And they really do work very hard to serve this community. And they're the ones that monitor the phone calls, who's taken a long time on a phone, if there's a problem, phone call, et cetera. And we wanted to bring them here today. I was supposed to submit the names to Virginia. My fault, I didn't. So we'll figure it out. We'll get a plaque later and everything like that. So that's on me. I'm not perfect. I was cutting my hair. Anyway, so Lindy.
My name is Lindy Castillo, and I'm the manager of customer service. But I do really, truly recognize the comments that each of you made today, and we take it at heart. We understand that there's room for improvement. We understand the community. We're there as well, not only on the phones, but in meetings such as this. And we truly understand. We read the comments. I'm also in charge of the complaints that come in. And for those folks that, I apologize if we haven't reached out to you, but we're working on that. The team is working on that. And there's another 40 agents out there and at the downtown window that sells passes, handles the lost and found. So behind the scenes, we're 24/7. We're never sleeping. Hurricane, my team was still available. They were booking reservations, realigning the dialysis trips. They were doing a lot of things that, the folks don't sometimes realize, and we're there kicking and clicking. And so I want to recognize, if you can, Yesenia Rivera, Alexandra Soriano, Maureen Lewis. Please stand up, please. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the team, really, all honestly. They're the backbone of the organization, and I want to say thank you. Thank you, and thank you for this committee. And we won't fail you. We will continue. We're daily calibrating where our staff is, the hours of operation, who can we move from this queue to the next queue. So it's a daily challenge, but we're up to it. And I want to thank the riders as well. And sorry we failed in some instances, but we will be there for you, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Lindy. And if I could just, they're all wearing their Links polo shirts celebrating our 30 years in service as Links. So they coordinated, Lindy and I didn't. So
So Madam Chair, we do not have any changes to the agenda, and we're ready to move to quorum. But there's one final recognition that if I might just make real quickly. This last recognition, Madam Chair and members, this is Cheryl Stone's last meeting as a TDLCB member. She decided not to seek reappointment, and we just want to say thank you to her ahead of your appointment of your next, you have on your agenda where you'll be appointing her replacement. And so we just want to say thank you. She's been instrumental in ensuring that individuals with limited access to transportation have reliable, affordable transportation options. She's done this with us. She goes back many years. And she's not only served on TDLCB, but she's also been a member of our Community Advisory Committee. And we have a plaque for Cheryl today as she departs after the meeting. It says, amazing volunteers are hard to find, difficult to part with, and impossible to forget. And so we just want to say thank you for your service. And I have a plaque for you, and we have some flowers that should last 5 years.
Thank you. Oh, how beautiful. Thank you so much. Gosh, those are gorgeous.
Oh, that's pretty.
You get Miss Virginia. Yes, thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, I want to congratulate all of our award recipients today, not only for being recognized, but for everything you do. This is a job that many times is thankless, and you do it for the right reasons. So we appreciate you. As far as Ms. Cheryl, you are going to be missed tremendously. And thank you for sharing your story on what inspired you to get involved, because that means a lot.
I'll still show up at unexpected places. I needed a break, and this is one of the last boards that I discontinued for a while. So you'll still see me around.
We'll still see you.
Yeah.
Well, we want to thank you for your service to our board. We look forward to keeping in touch and seeing you when you are around. And you're welcome back for public comments, which I don't think you have a problem doing anytime.
No, never. Thank you.
I don't know if we have to reconfirm our quorum because we had a quorum prior, or do we need to officially for our meeting?
Madam Chair, I can confirm we do have a quorum.
Okay, fantastic. Items. This is the first of 2 opportunities for public comments. Public comments on action items are heard before the action is taken at the beginning of the meeting, and comments are then at the end or into the general nature will be heard. If there are any comments in person or online joining us for Zoom, please make sure you do your raise hand feature. Each speaker is limited to 2 minutes. And do we have any members of the public who want to comment on action items that are presently here?
I've not received any action item comments, Madam Chair.
Okay, and Ms. Lisa, do we have anyone online that likes to make a public comment on an action item?
Madam Chair, there are no hands raised.
All right, thank you very much. We are going to move on. And of course, public comments can always be submitted by email or phone message before the meeting, and they can be submitted to Ms. Virginia. And did you want to have a comment? Did you have anything?
We don't have any.
Okay, fantastic. Let's move on to our action items. Ms. Whittington, you are the presenter for all of the items today.
Yes, the first is the minutes of the August 8th TDLCB meeting, Madam Chair, and they are in your agendas at tab 1.
Okay.
Move approval, Bates.
Second, Barry.
So we have a motion for approval, and we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And I meant to say, are there any corrections to the minutes? Hopefully not. Okay. And then we're going to move on. Ms. Virginia.
Yes, Madam Chairman and members, at tab 2 is your 2025 proposed meeting schedules. I will call attention to your May meeting, which is not the normal second Thursday. Just wanted to call attention to that. We had to move that meeting to avoid another conflict.
Okay. And so is there any do we have a motion?
Moved, Marilyn Baldwin.
And do we have a second?
Second, Alnita Witt.
Or is there any discussion or any questions about the May date? And it'll be in your tab, and I'm sure Ms. Virginia will be reminding us in plenty of time for the May 2025 meeting. With all that, all in favor say aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Ms. Baldwin, excuse me, Ms. Virginia.
All right, at tab 3, Madam Chair, we're requesting approval of your annual expenditure report. We have met the requirements as required by the CTD, and we are looking for your approval today.
Move approval, Bates.
A second, please.
Second, Olson.
Okay, we have a motion for approval and a second. Are there any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Ms. Virginia.
And at tab 4 is the annual operating report. Again, we have met the requirements of the state, and it's presented today for your approval.
Are there any questions on this motion? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Move approval, Bates. Second, I'll need a wit.
So we have a motion for approval and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Ms. Virginia.
And Madam Chair, for this one, I will yield to Ms. Berry as your chair of your Quality Assurance Task Force.
Okay, Ms. Berry, you are presented to do the QATF report.
Absolutely. We reviewed applications at our last QATF meeting to fill the vacancies. The application period was open from September 30th to October 2nd for 3 open seats: an at-large alternate, a for-profit operator, and a representative of the elderly over 65. As of the submission deadline, we received 10 applications, one of which was deemed ineligible due to their employment. And after review and further discussion, the QATF unanimously recommended the following. Ms. Charlotte Campbell, who currently serves as the at-large alternate, assume the seat representing the elderly over 65. Ms. Tashara Cooper, an Orange County resident, for the at-large alternate, and we also recommended adding Ms. Sina Underwood from Seminole County resident to serve as an at-large alternate.
Fantastic, and thank you for all of you all for that work. Are there any questions? Seeing, and I did actually have one myself. I see that we've got someone from Orange County and someone from Seminole County. Do we have Osceola County represented also on that board, or not yet?
No, there were none.
Applicants?
No.
Okay, because I know we work as a region, so just curious to know that.
The question, it came up at our meeting, but we just didn't have that same question regarding Osceola.
We said we would try a little harder next time.
To hopefully receive.
Thank you. And for anyone listening, and we work as a region, Orange, Osceola, and Seminole County, so it's nice to have people representing the board that come from those areas so that they have a voice. With that being said, is there a motion?
Moved, Marilyn Baldwin.
Would you like to? She got a second over here. If there's no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to the presentations and the status reports, we have 4 presentations today. First is a status update on the 2050 MTP by Ms. Taylor Laurent with Metro Plan Orlando. Hi, Taylor. It's good to see you. You're recognized.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'm Taylor Laurent from Metro Plan Orlando, providing an update on our 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plan, MTP. We can go to the next slide. This 2050 plan also serves as our, thank you, long-range vision for transportation over the next 25 years. So earlier this year, we went through and developed our goals and objectives. So what is that collaborative vision for where we would like to be in 2050? And we've developed indicators to be able to help measure our progress as we work towards achieving that vision. So that's been completed. We've also gone through and performed evaluations to look at those future trends that will influence how we get from where we are today to that shared vision that we've developed for 2050. That's also been completed. We've also completed our public participation plan, as well as started implementing it. We've recently had 5 presentations to various community groups and outreach events, and we have already, I think, 6 more scheduled to date. That number keeps increasing as we're booking things out through the end of next year. And the feedback that we're receiving from more than 60 in-person interactions and 46 surveys completed is being summarized in your agenda packets. Under your MTP status report update, you'll see that we have our engagement report summarizing the feedback we're receiving from each of the events that we go to. So you can take a look at the feedback we're receiving and incorporate that into your day-to-day operations as well, as we're doing the same for our long-range plan. Next slide. In terms of our technical updates, we are continuing our coordination with the Department of Transportation on the regional transportation model for the entire area and providing our feedback and input to help coordinate that effort. We are working on our congestion management process update as well, and that is well underway. We're looking at those targets to help improve congestion throughout the region and looking to complete that work by the end of this year. We've recently received feedback on our regional freight network that's been under technical review for the past few weeks. So looking at how we move goods and services throughout the region effectively and efficiently. Then we have several other technical reports that are in that final recommendations and strategies development process as for the end of this year. There we go. That includes our health, housing, environmental stewardship, resilience, and financial resources evaluations. I know I'm going through those pretty quickly today, but we do have and host regularly technical workshops. There have been 4 over the past several months where we do 90-minute deep dives on all of these different topics to make sure that everyone and anyone who wants to be able to see what's going on, the nuts and bolts of all this information, has access to it and can provide their feedback and comments along the way. We've also hosted 2 additional working sessions with our technical agency partners from each of our government organizations to be able to really even further deep dive those freight and prioritization discussions. And I'll come back to prioritization in a moment. Next slide, please. So as we're looking at all of these different themes throughout the region and these different aspects of how our lives interact with transportation services, we need to look at what are the future needs. So what are the areas we're experiencing problems today or where we see those desires for improvement? Where might those additional problems or new areas of improvements arise over the next 25 years? And how can we plan for those today? What are the transportation solutions we can identify now to address the problems we're experiencing and proactively address the ones that may arise? So we've completed our modal needs assessments, so looking at our transportation system from multiple different perspectives: transit, technology, active transportation, bicycle, pedestrian modes, as well and safety. I'm gonna just move that up, I'm too tall. Okay, so looking at safety as well to make sure that we're incorporating all these different aspects into the work that we're doing and seeing a singular transportation system. So we've gone through and collected all of those different needs, identified projects to address those needs, and we are coordinating with each of our government partners throughout the region, as well as the Department of Transportation, to basically do a final review of that list, make sure it's holistic, comprehensive, before we complete that by early 2025. So we're in the last stages of that work effort as well. Next slide, please. So as we complete our, I'll affectionately call it our transportation to-do list for the next 25 plus years, we need to develop a process in which we decide which project goes first. What is the first need that gets addressed through this long-range transportation plan? So we are actively developing a prioritization process to be able to help us create a data-driven, context-informed, and multimodal approach. So that way we're evaluating each project fairly amongst the list of our transportation to-dos. So once that prioritization process is developed and collaboratively agreed upon by all of our local agencies and the public feedback that we're receiving, that will be applied to our needs list, and that will inform our process as we work to develop our cost feasible plan. So as we look at that giant to-do list, it's likely going to be more than what we have funding for over the next 25 years. So we need to know what comes first in terms of prioritization, and then look at that in terms of budgeting and financial allocations to make sure that the plan we're setting forward will be cost feasible over that time period. So there will be a lot more to come on that topic. Next slide, please. But overall, we are reaching the halfway point for our 2050 Metropolitan Transportation Plans development. That prioritization process really signals the start of that switch to talking about budgetary and financial constraints, which will take up the majority of 2025 as we work towards that shared collaborative vision. But overall, we are on track to complete our 2050 MTP by December of 2025. So about another 12 months from now, then we'll be done. So that's my update for you all today, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Taylor. Are there any questions or comments from the board? No? Okay, Ms. Taylor, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
All right, we are now going to move on to Ms. Sarah Strickhauser for the 2024 Public Opinion Survey results. Sarah, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Board. It's lovely to be here. And I graduated from UCF, and while I was there for grad school, sat on the board at Lighthouse and went to the Blind Experience. And so it's a really beautiful thing to see and hear from this board and from the public. So I'm talking about general population results today of public opinion. But I know that the lens of this board is really important to these results. So just exciting to see the work. So I'm Sarah Strickhauser. I'm the president and principal researcher on this research from Summit Survey Research. Next slide, please. Thank you. So just a note on who responded to our survey. So we had 3,134 respondents. The survey was open in the spring of this year, offered in English, Spanish, and Haitian Creole. We disseminated the survey using 3 methods, just to give you a little bit of background about the avenues that we sought out respondents. We used an online panel. We strategically sent out the link using a community strategy manager and team to coordinate with nonprofits and organizations across the Tri-County area, as well as using what are intercept surveys, or surveys where we talk to people who were walking into the Orange County Tax Collector's Office, public libraries in Seminole County, to ensure that we were gathering a wide variety of respondents. Next slide. So in addition to ensuring our sample was reflective of Orange, Osceola, Seminole County residents, we look at key demographics to make sure that we're capturing a variety of people. And so you can see on the slide, we have the breakout of geography. So this is the percentages of those responding to the survey. And the point is that it's reflective of census data. So we look at Orange, Osceola, and Seminole County breakout. Most of our respondents are coming from Orange County, 22%, Osceola, and 19%. It's like a party. Now it feels like a party. Our age breakout is reflective of census demographics. So we have 18 to 34, about a third, 35 to 49, about a third, 20% at 50 to 64, and about 20% 65 and over. And then our race ethnicity categories are broken out there, again, reflective of the census. But I do just want to acknowledge that Metro Plan Orlando was really on the cutting edge of using the new federal OMB race and/or ethnicity categories. And what that means, most importantly, is that respondents are permitted to select all that apply. And there's a brand new category, Middle Eastern and North African. And what that does is it pulls those respondents out that may have had to put themselves in a white category when really that is not what they are. They are Middle Eastern, North African, and given them the space to respond in a way that's much more reflective. So really, Metro Plan Orlando is on the cutting edge of that, certainly. So next slide, we'll dive into the results. So we'll talk about many topics today, but safety really came up. So this is for all respondents, but certainly thinking about this group for disadvantaged users of transportation system, safety is even more of an urgent topic. So we know that 94%, so basically everybody says, we feel planners should prioritize pedestrian-friendly communities. So this is everybody responding, 94%, about 3,000 people. But about a third of them do not feel that they currently live in a pedestrian-friendly community. So there's a bit of a gap there. We want to see that, down to zero, i.e. 100% of people really feeling like, yes, where I live, I can walk around safely. Next slide. we talk about the blind experience and walking around and knowing what it feels like, or not, having that experience of what it feels like to have cars rushing by. So we looked at risky driver behavior. We asked questions specifically about what people do when they're behind the wheel of the car. So we confirmed, because we just flat out asked the question, how fast do you drive? Because the survey is anonymous, people let us know. So about 1 in 3, so a third of our drivers say I drive about 10 miles per hour or more over the speed limit. 25%, 1 in 4, say it's okay to speed when the roads are clear, which it is not. And 1 in 10 say it's okay to text and drive. And all of those are concerning enough, but what we also find is when we pull out those drivers that habitually speed at 10 miles per hour or over, they're even more likely to say it's okay to speed when the roads are clear. They're more likely to say it's okay to text and drive. So we're talking about this sort of upper echelon of very high risk, risky drivers out there. Next slide. So we have lots of new technology coming, as I'm sure all of you know. So new technologies are more present in our daily transportation experience, and so Metro Plan Orlando is curious about how comfortable people are with things like driverless technology. So we had 75% of our respondents, so 3 out of 4, saying I've never ridden in a driverless car. So of those people who say I've never ridden in one, it's like a 50-50 split between I'm really interested in it or I would never do it. So for the people who say, I don't know, it sounds kind of interesting, here's why they'd be interested in experiencing a driverless car, to be able to talk about it and just understand it a little more. I wouldn't have to be scared of a stranger driving in a car. So for those relying on somebody to drive them or an Uber, it'd be nice to just not have a driver in the driver's seat and just to see how well it works. Next slide. And for those not interested, a driverless car can't defend against lunatic drivers. I don't want drivers to lose their job, or our traffic problems aren't due to insufficient roads, or are due to insufficient roads, not whether cars are driverless, as far as it being an alternative and an improvement to traffic. Next slide. We ask what transportation equity means to respondents, and we just leave it open-ended. And so we just did a simple word cloud that shows the frequency of the words stated in that question. And so you can kind of see when we ask what is transportation equity to you, it's access for everyone. It's safe access, it's affordable access. The word public is in there. How does transit fit into that? And so with the responses from this, as well as the responses from the same question in 2021, Metro Plan Orlando has developed a working definition of equity in transportation. So this year's results, along with last year's, are continuing to solidify that definition for the organization. Next slide. So these are top transportation challenges for all of our respondents. So again, thinking about general population, we have them broken out. For those who say, sometimes or often I walk to get where I need to go, or I bike, and sometimes or often I use Lynx and Sunrail. So again, general population, but they use these modes of transportation. Their top transportation challenges: uncertain weather conditions for our pedestrians and our cyclists. They don't feel safe specifically because of unsafe driver behavior that we kind of called out before. No sidewalks or insufficient sidewalks that aren't conducive to walking or biking, and then not enough bicycle facilities. So those could be lanes or places to park the bike. And then regarding Lynx or Sunrail, so again, these could be people who take it every day. They could be people who take it sometimes. Bus or train does not run frequently enough, or departure or arrival times are inconvenient. There are no bus stops or train stations where I need them. Bus rides are too long, and the train doesn't take me where I need to go. Next slide. We asked respondents if they had, in the last 12 months, skipped or missed a doctor's appointment specifically because of unreliable transportation, and that's how the question was worded. What we found is 25%, so 1 in 4 said, yes, that has happened to me at least one time. And what we see are Lynx riders, Osceola residents, and Asian and Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander groups are disproportionately impacted. So just to clarify, that means that what we would expect to see as far as the percentage of people falling in that 25% group, they're elevated, they're a little higher than we would expect to see for the groups listed. But from a magnitude perspective, for example, the majority of people, just from a raw numbers perspective, who are missing or skipping doctor's appointments are coming from Orange County. Well, Orange County is just, it's a more populous space. So there's lots of different ways to look at this finding. And based on some of our other meetings, we had some question about, well, who are these people that are skipping or missing doctor's appointments? So we were able to do additional analysis to look and see, okay, are they specifically, are they Lynx riders or Access Lynx riders exclusively? Are they relying on transit if we see this elevation in transit proportion that are missing or skipping? And what we found in this preliminary analysis is that they are Lynx and Access Lynx riders sometimes, but most of the time, these are people who use a variety of modes of transportation, specifically the fact that most of them said they have a car. So it's an interesting point for Metro Plan Orlando to be at, to have this information and say, okay, how can we dig in next time to understand when we say unreliable transportation, what does that really mean? And does it mean different things for somebody who says, my Tesla didn't start one time in Winter Park, and that is a response. And the bus didn't get me there on time. Those are two really different stories with very different solutions, but both very important because all of those people need to be getting to their doctor's appointments. So an exciting space to be for Metro Plan Orlando to dig into that further in the future. Next slide. And then just a note, continued on public transportation. So most of our respondents do sometimes or often use public transportation. They just desire more stops, faster service, and service on nights and weekends. And then we added a question just considering, kind of the traffic and looking at alternatives to car as a mode of transportation. And we asked people, would you consider taking the bus or train if parking fees were significantly increased? It's an interesting space. We have a third of people say, I would be deterred from parking. Another third who are like, nah, I'm never gonna take transit out of the car. But there's a third who seem very undecided. So it's just an interesting point there that we could look into further as well. Next slide. Just an at-a-glance community outreach slide. We spoke with 34 local governments and shared the survey with them, 14 transportation and planning organizations, and there's just some snapshots of what the outreach looked like. Next slide. Next slide, please. And the full report is available at metroplanorlando.gov/research with some key takeaways if you want to review. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for the presentation. It's some very interesting data. I want to give everyone a little bit of comment that I recently experienced. I was recently running for re-election. So part of getting elected is you go and you stand on busy traffic corners and you wave to people and you say hi. And I have to tell you a couple observations that I made, and I would sit there about 45 minutes to an hour. Many people didn't even see me. They were on their phones. I mean, there I am standing. I'm pretty tall and pretty significant, and they didn't see me. Secondly, I would go in busy traffic times. So when school crossing guards were going, and the drivers would get mad and beep because they had to wait for children crossing with crossing guards. And as I would talk to crossing guards, many of them would step very far back when there weren't children there, because you could actually see the ledge of how many cars would skip up on the sidewalk. We have a serious issue with distracted drivers. And I think that that was a lie, that 1 in 10. They may not think it's right, but that doesn't mean they're not doing it. It was just very
it was very obvious how many people did not even see me, like did not just see me there. And so it's very scary. I do want to comment, I'm on the FDOT Transportation Steering Committee for 2055. And we had our meeting yesterday in Panama City, and I was very adamant that we have to include pedestrian safety as we look at the future. Because, thank you, because as we move to driverless cars and we move to all these things, we have to make sure people are first and forefront on these. No one should ever feel unsafe not being in a vehicle, much less vehicle. And one of our missions is to have less car accidents. And I said, you have to include pedestrian accidents in that. Accidents are accidents. So it is very, very, it's very sobering when you see that, because I can't even believe how much it's happening, you know, to sit and mind you, I would see adults with children in the car on their phone. So it really, really does go far, because I think what we do as parents, our children see, and how do we say, do as we say, not as we do. So thank you so much. Is there any other comment? This is just an observation, because I think this is so important. And you have to realize the fact that FDOT is invested heavily in MetroPlan and all of us, we realize it's not getting any better. So we have to stay on top of this and be persistent. But any other questions or comments from the board?
I have a
Yes.
question. Quick question, and thank you, this is a great presentation. For transportation safety concerns, 94% planners should prioritize, and 32% do not believe they live in a pedestrian-friendly community. And then the details, we have it by county. Is there a breakdown by zip code as to where they reside?
There could be.
Okay.
We have it. I don't, it's not in the report. In the back of the report, in the appendix, every single question, every single substantive question, which is a ton, is broken out by county and then has the total. So that's a nice way to compare overall versus the county. But it's possible to look at that. Maybe we could talk after and see.
Okay, yeah, I think that would be interesting, just to see the types of communities based on zip code and their responses, so.
Right.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, I want to add on to that. I think there's people who enjoy pedestrian, and then people who have to be pedestrians because they're on public transit. I mean, there's, and not that one's more important than the other. I just think that there's a different mindset of someone who's just walking or walking their dog to someone who's getting on a bus to go to work. So I think that's really important. I also, since we last saw each other, I was at the AMPO meeting in Salt Lake City, Utah. And something that's very, very important is anytime you plan the future of any town, transportation and infrastructure should be first, because you can have the best housing, affordable project in the world, but if you can't get there, either through public transit, through roads, or all those things, it's useless. And I don't think we do enough of that, and that's why we are so behind when it comes to transportation now. And again, we are investing a lot. Blanche is here with Orange County. We're investing a lot in sidewalks placed and fixing sidewalks, because it's one thing to just have a sidewalk, but is it a safe sidewalk? Remember, we talked about those lifted sidewalks, and they're not even. Very, very dangerous. And I know that we are doing aggressively in the county that, so that when a pedestrian is out walking, they feel safe as possible. So, thank you. Any other? Yes?
Good afternoon.
Jeez.
Working with public education, Orange County Schools, I do a lot of walking. We review a lot of walk paths to and from school. And I'm a pedestrian probably more than I'm in a vehicle. And I agree with what everybody's saying. There's also a lot of impediments out there on sidewalks, everything from construction to tree branches. Sometimes the construction is not even including the sidewalks. It's all the trucks that are parked there of people who are working on a project nearby to build a building. We have to get that moved so that we can continue to walk safely, because then people will walk out into the street to try to get around it. Where they come into contact with cars and things. And the comment about distracted driving, I agree also. We have people that don't see our school bus stops. They don't even see the bus. They rear end the bus while it's stopped at a railroad crossing, doing a railroad crossing procedure. We see that. How do you miss a school bus? How do you rear end a school bus while it's sitting at a red light? You know, with students on board, even worse. So I see all this, and I'm sure it has a lot to do with all of these things. Getting the sidewalks in place is also important. Sometimes it's the sidewalk is in front of a new community that's just been built, but it ends where that property ends. Then it's back to grass, not even grass, unimproved area, nowhere to walk. Then another 500 feet of sidewalk at the next community, again, terminates. And we see that too. Sometimes there's bicycle lanes, but sometimes there's no bicycle lanes. So then the bicyclists may be on the sidewalk, and so will the scooters. And many times when I'm doing a walking assessment, somebody on a scooter blows me right off the sidewalk and going 25, 30 miles an hour. So we see that. Yeah, so thank you for the analysis, and everybody's concerned about this. We share the concern too.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. There's nothing more frustrating than having a sidewalk with a car parked on it. Okay?
Really?
And also be careful. We still have a lot of debris out there that are blocking sidewalks, and I'm very frustrated about that because I'm actually seeing kids get off the sidewalk, go on the road, walk around the debris, and then get back on the sidewalk. So we've got a lot of work to do. Thank you very much. Thank you all for your comment. We're going to go ahead and move on to, my favorite victim, Mr. Norm Pickling.
You said it. Here we go. So how much time do I have, Virginia? Are we worried about time?
Just a little.
Okay. So next chart, please. So we'll go through this 3-hour presentation rather quickly.
Very quickly.
We should break it down to 2 hours and 45 minutes. So again, overview, kind of give you where we're at. We'll talk a little bit about trip demand, which we usually do, the performance. One of the charts that we're going to add into this package, this was requested out of the Quality Assurance Task Force, was trip duration. So we're going to show you some information on that. Customer service activity, that's the phone calls. And then what we've showed in the past, we've updated it, the transportation disadvantage funding that we all get, and then the opportunity summary and questions and close for you all. So with that, next chart. So right now, we continue to have a very robust demand for services. So you can see over 2023, we're up about 9.3% and maintaining that quarter to quarter. Strong demand for the service. On-time performance is right at 90%, which we're real proud about. Now, that means 10% of the time we're late, and we get that. And so, we'll take our victories on the 90%, we'll focus on the 10 and do better on that. Still have a lot of calls coming in. 40% of those calls are coming in asking for, where's my estimated time of arrival of the vehicle? And we'll talk a little bit about the paratransit fleet status, which we heard from the community talking about the buses, the cleanliness, et cetera. They are an old fleet. But with that, next chart. So this is the rides broken down by month. You can see 484,000 trips year to date. This is the calendar year. So that's where that 9% increase is coming from. And it's staying robust. And we anticipate it for the rest of the calendar year, it'll still be that robust because we're seeing the trips go up. We had 3,000 planned trips the other day, which we hadn't seen since prior to COVID. So the bow waves here, it's coming and it will continue. So next chart, please. And our performance, we've shown this chart before, we're right at 90% there. The chart is showing up in the upper right-hand corner that OTP for the entire period of time at 89%, which we have a real good consistency, 91% for the month of September. And again, we were showing the breakdown of the different types of trips. One thing I wanted to clear up, there was a comment made, and I can't remember if it was online, about not running at all hours of the day. We are 24/7, just so anybody out there as an advocate, we don't stop. We 24/7, 7 days a week, holidays, etc. So I don't know where that comes from. So hopefully we can get the word out there that we don't shut down. So I just share that with you as a point of information. And that lady's gone. She's not going to get kicked off the service. I can assure you for one time being late she had an emergency, we could waive that. So next chart, please. This is the new chart that we put into the presentation on trip duration. And there's a lot of information that goes into this. And so the first two columns, the way we plan trips in the very first column is we want to see how many miles that trip is. And we have a standard that we have used for years and years and years, which is the second column, that duration threshold, not to exceed amount. So you can see a trip from 1 to 5 miles based on traffic, based on loading and unloading of the client, it could take up to an hour. And you can walk down where you hear about some of the really long trips, they're 32-mile plus trips or 28 to 32-mile trips. They can take a couple hours just because of traffic. If you ever have driven downtown Orlando, or you go down to Ponciana or Kissimmee area there, one car on a sidewalk or blocking a lane, and boom, it's a 2-hour trip, regardless of how long that trip is. But so you can see we do track that. This is a standard that has been time tested, it's been reviewed by our regulators, it's been accepted, and it matches up pretty closely with our fixed route system. We did include here the average miles of those trips. So if you have a trip that's from 1 to 5 miles, the average distance of those trips is right at 2.9 miles. And you can go down, and I'll let you all take a look at that chart. So we're doing a pretty good job, and even the last column shows that we're maintaining. I'm not going to stand up here and lie to you and say we are 100%. There are trips that are long. Joey and I then start having very candid conversations, as does the staff to staff, as to why those trips went too long. But we really do try to track this, maintain it, and ensure that we're meeting all the standards that we're held to. So hopefully this chart helps. Ms. Berry, you're the one that asked for this, so not to call you out, but I did. So hopefully we can take a look at it and see if this helps you answer that question for you. Next chart, please. Call activity, I highlighted in yellow. Again, number is not, we'd love it to be at that 3 minutes on average answering of calls, but 59 calls per customers. If any of you get 59 calls during the day, I'm sure you'd be pretty wore out. We never want to try to rush people through the calls because some of the trips are complicated, and we really do try to take the most amount of time and be very generous with trying to help them make sure that they're getting picked up at the proper location and getting to the proper location where they want to go. So we don't try to rush them. We do know that there's a high call volume out there. So we gently try to push folks. I know we heard one comment about they called at 8 o'clock in the morning. Between 8 and 10, it's one of the busiest times. Between 3 to 5 in the afternoon, another busy time. So if it's any way possible to call, like in that midday time frame, you're usually going to get a call answered a little bit faster. And that's when the staffing is there too to help. So with that, next slide, please. Funding. This is, as the commissioner said, my hair was long and blonde and no longer. So we've talked about this before, 2 sources of funding for the Transportation for Disadvantaged program. The state of Florida, through the Commission for Transportation Disadvantage, funds this with their trip and equipment grant. Then you also have the local funding that comes from Seminole, Osceola, and Orange counties. And you're going to see in this example here that for the last 3 years, we have actually lost funding from the state based on their new formula. And we just started, and I have a chart that'll kind of show you that the demand's going up, but the funding's going down. So we're actually down about 6.7% over the funding that we got last year. And that was even down from the year prior to that. So we went from $283,672 per month to right at $264,736 per month. Yet our demand is going higher. So next chart, please, and that'll show it. So you can see our trips are going up over the time frame from since January. You can also see since January where we got into the end of the fiscal year for the state of Florida, which was right there at June. When we went into July 1, we got our new allocation, and that allows us to ask for remittance of all the expenditures that we provided on the Transportation Disadvantage Program of $264,851 per month. So you can see it's starting to go down. So that's where the challenges are. My hair's not going to grow back. But you can also see, too, the amount that we are billing, which is that pink column, at $800,000. So you can see the delta. Now, that delta has to be made up by Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties. So thank you to the taxpayers for covering that, but it's a burden that the local taxpayers have to make. Next chart, please. So operations, as far as some opportunities, we continue to work on the scheduling of trips. We work with the TransDev team about making sure that we got the right productivity, we got the right number of people, that we're not driving by somebody's house multiple times before we drop them off. So we continue to work on that. We hear it. We heard it last year. We heard it this year, loud and clear, and it's something that we continue to work on, and we'll strive to improve that in every facet. As far as paratransit vehicles, we have 85 vehicles currently on order with manufacturers right now, so that will take care of replacing 85 very old vehicles that are long past their useful life. We're also looking at kind of changing our mix a little bit from the much larger vehicle to a little bit smaller type van that should be a little more comfortable at times and more appropriate for different types of areas and clientele. So we're going to see how that mix works out. Call center, continue to work on that. We're looking at different things. You know, we rolled out the My Portal to help with like the dialysis centers, and we want to get that out to more agencies that can go review trips that are coming into them, whether it be a cancer center, whether it be a medical office, et cetera, that they, instead of calling, that they can actually see where their patients and what their estimated time of arrival is going to be as far as their trips. So that's something we're going to continue to work on. And we got a new that'll be coming out here very shortly, and we'll talk about that a little bit more as time goes on and we get a little bit more clarity with that. It shouldn't have too much of an impact. It's a lot of training with our operators, but again, we'll be another day for another subject. Next chart, please. So as we said, robust trips, on-time performance, continue to work on that. Wednesdays, our challenge, that is when we talk about the 3,000 trip day, Wednesdays are it. We've got a lot of vehicles coming in, 85 vehicles that are on order. I'm going to be taking a board letter to the Lynx Board of Directors asking for potentially another 70 vehicles for the FY25 buy. And hopefully that'll get approved, and if make the case for that. Continue to focus on our call center, the policies, the allocation of resources, so that those calls, we can continue to lower that time frame in answering the phones. And again, we're Florida, so we always know that the hurricanes are coming, and we're always aware of those. And again, this team just does extraordinary job keeping the schedules going during a hurricane or emergency situation. So very proud of them and everything. And I can't say enough about them. Next chart, please. With that, last chart should have been questions. You have no questions. Thank you very much.
No.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you're a lot of time.
Ms. Baldwin, I'll let you go because I have some too. So Ms. Baldwin.
doesn't have to be today, Norm, but at some point, we've heard for 2 years now about request for demand response transportation. Could we have a workshop about what funds we would need to do such of a thing? And would you agree that financially right now, that would be hard?
Your second statement, I totally agree with. I will offer, we could do some research and see what JTA and Pinellas and some of those others. I've looked into it.
How did they do it with
Well,
the same
in
funding?
some ways, it's not across the board, and it's limited, and it's a rider's choice type program that you contract with a separate entity, and then you call that entity. It doesn't waive your eligibility rights, but it kind of puts you in a different category. So there's
pros and
sometimes
cons.
it's also limited on the time too, so it's
Right.
not across the board. But
And
we could do some research and come back.
And I think one thing, Ms. Baldwin, is we're a very wide county. You
Yes.
know, I had to drive to Horizon West from downtown, and it took me 49 minutes. And that's me driving, so I could just imagine, we're just so wide, and we're just getting wider.
I mean, I do it every morning, every afternoon, yep. So,
Yeah.
We
no,
had a smaller service area, we
Yeah.
might have a different conversation.
Like a dense area, yeah, because I heard Jacksonville, and Jacksonville is different than us. It would, you know, with all honesty, just to back her up, a lot of times until people find out, well, what would be that cost per event? It details a lot.
yes.
It details a lot.
Most
Thank you. Ms. Baldwin, did you have anything else?
No, that was my main one.
So I had a couple notes that I took. One, have we ever thought, and I don't know if you have, is I'll call my doctor's office and it'll say, we have a heavy call volume. If you go into the call queue, we'll call you back as soon as the person's available. Have we ever thought about doing that?
We've thought about it, except with the call volume that's coming in, you might not get that call back until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and we may not catch you within the next 10, 15, 20 minutes. So it just may move the bow wave to a later time in the day when we're trying to catch you. So, but we've thought about it.
Are you understaffed on call people?
I'm not going to say that standing here, but, you know.
I got your wink.
I appreciate you asking, but yeah.
Well, I mean, it's important for us to know
We
what to
can always
advocate
use
for.
more folks to do that. On the other hand, you don't want to staff up so much that you're not having them be productive during periods of time when there's
It's
not
slow.
a lot of calls. It's
Yeah.
slower, right? So
Is-
it's that balancing act, as you know.
Does your message recommend better times to call, like while they're waiting and listening?
I think it
Is
does.
there- Yeah, no, what I was referring to, I got you on that. I was thinking of, please realize our heaviest call volume times are between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m.
A fair point. We
And
can-
3 p.m. and 5 p.m.
go
We
look at that.
encourage you to call between those times. Well, again, Norm, what we heard was a lot of frustration of the call wait times.
Yes.
And if there isn't someone telling you, hey, this is the hardest time to take a call, if possible, you may want to consider calling after 10
We will
a.m.
take a look at it.
You
We will
know,
take
I'm
that
just
up.
trying to help you find,
No,
because
no.
there seems a lot of frustration. I don't think it's lack of not understanding that you're busy. It's just that when they're on the phone, and a lot of people are very timely, like, oh, it's 8 o'clock, let me get on the call so I can get everything done.
They are.
You know, and I'm just trying to help you find some opportunities of
Appreciate
relief.
it. That's a fair
And
assessment.
are your folks still working from home?
Yes.
How is that productivity? Are you still seeing the same level of productivity if they were in?
We're good.
Okay, and my last question, and this is an odd one, we talked about visiting the site, and we did, and Joey had us. Would there be an opportunity if one of us wanted to ride along?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Do we
Yes.
have to plan it? Because if I want to do it, I don't want them to know I'm coming. I'd like to like call you that morning and just
We-
jump in a car.
You'd have to make a reservation.
I won't call between 8 and 10.
Yeah,
Right.
we would-
But I
you would have
honestly.
to- We'd have to make it a day before, obviously, and we'd have to get you set up, you know. We have a system to do that, but we would have you just call that day before so that you can.
And mind you, I'm not coming to look for a problem. I'm coming to talk to people and see how they're feeling.
Joey, do
on
you
that
hear
trip.
this? You hear this, right? So, okay, no, I'm kidding, but no, that'd be fine. We could
You
make
know,
it.
I don't, you have to understand, I don't lack that you're not trying. I want to understand where are we missing that connection of people feeling the way they felt today?
Sure.
You know, so
Sure.
that's the only
And we do
thought.
the secret shopper, secret rider type thing, and we wouldn't announce it, et cetera.
I'll wear a baseball cap. so
Okay,
nobody will know me.
sounds good.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? I know we've had a long meeting, but I got to tell you, it's been so good to have this conversation. So, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for this report. I appreciate it. So I do have a couple of questions. Well, simple. What period of time is this report?
For the calendar. That's for that period of time of where we're showing you the rides, the calendar year.
So it's the entire year?
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
I wasn't sure if it was a year, a month, or a day. What else was I going to ask? Oh, I love it. I mean, I can follow it. You said the duration threshold where it's not to exceed, that comes from where?
That is a standard that we've been using for years and years and years, and it originally was applied to the fixed route system. That's how the FTA really measures it. They look at the fixed route system, how long would it take you to take that same trip on the fixed route system? And it's usually that same period of time plus about 20 minutes. And they're getting tighter and tighter and tighter on that, but that chart really does match up pretty closely to it.
So it's a formula?
It's a
that's used
formula,
to come
yeah.
up with this? Okay. Now, and I don't know if this is possible because I know you put some time and some work into this, but is it possible, because I like the 1 to 5 miles, 1 hour, 2.9, average duration, 17 minutes, 42 seconds. But it's probably not possible, but let me ask anyway. The number of riders, like where does it fall? Like is a 32 plus mile, is that the norm? Or
You're looking at about
1 to 5?
1.3 riders per hour.
Okay.
Okay, so that's our productivity numbers and everything. So you could have more, you could have less on there. But it allows you that opportunity to have that, a little bit of flexibility. Obviously, we can't guarantee everybody a straight shot ride. It's a shared ride system. So, you know, by the time you pull up to the curb, the operator gets off, goes and knocks on the door, helps the client out, whether they have to secure them properly or not, you know, but make sure everything's safe, make sure that they're sitting down properly. That all adds to that time.
And
And
it's
that's
one-
all part of that trip duration right there.
Okay, and it's 1.3
It's the
riders per
product-
hour.
Productivity number, yes.
And then I just have to know if this is included, because I heard the comment earlier today, this duration for some of it. Does it, I mean, is it really the drive-through part? Is that happening? Can the vans go through?
I don't know where
drive-through?
that.
Oh, okay.
No, we go door to door. Now, I'm not going to say that we don't go to the wrong door sometimes, because you go to Disney Springs and there's many different areas where you could be dropped off. But we would always try to go to the closest, whether it be the employee entrance, whether it be the patient entrance. We don't, yeah. We don't go just through a drive-through and say, you know, y'all hop out and we'll see you a little bit, so.
I'm just curious. But I think it's good. I'll probably have more questions so this will be included moving forward, or is this
If
just?
you'd like, we can look at it on a monthly basis.
I
if
like
you'd
that. I would, yes.
Or on a
definitely.
quarterly basis, I should
Yes,
say.
definitely, definitely. And then you commented earlier that it's constant, it's nonstop, and I believe that. But there was one comment, and it was online, I think this is what you were referencing, that some people are walking home from Disney. So where could that mix up? What was it? Oh, Universal, I apologize. So where, is there
Well,
any way to
I would need to
drill
know
down
this,
to?
I would need to know the specifics.
Okay.
Because there is no reason for somebody walking home, because we are 24/7, like I said. So So if there is an issue, I would need to know the specifics on it. Did they go to the wrong address? Driver may have gone to the wrong place to pick them up. Did we have the wrong address? Sometimes that happens and somebody walks someplace different. So we'd have to just go look and investigate each case on its own merits.
And I think because it was the first online caller, so will we be able to make that connection?
Yes,
to
we
try-
can.
Okay, perfect. Were you
Yes,
gonna say
we
something?
can, well, I was just going to say, we can go back and get the information for that particular speaker and see if they can connect that with the name.
Okay, I just, because that's safety is an issue, and we didn't hear it a lot, and I'm glad. but
we wouldn't.
That's major. If it's late at night, it's dark, and just walking home,
Because again, if they showed up and they couldn't find the client to go pick them up, they would start calling dispatch. The operator would call dispatch. That's the proper procedure. They would then try to make a phone call. Now, if we have the right number on file, sometimes that's a problem too. Somebody changes phone numbers or they're using a different phone. I mean, we had one lady a little while ago that she was calling from her home number, and that's the only number we had, yet she was waiting to be picked up. Why didn't you call me on my cell phone? Well, we didn't have your cell phone number. So we got that rectified going forward. So a lot of things like that happen. So I can't say that that's, but we wouldn't just arbitrarily leave somebody, make them walk home.
Okay, so research, I will wait for the research, because I thought that was very interesting. First, I've heard of that, and it seemed like it happened more than once. So if we can make that connection, it would be great. All right, thank you so much.
Mr. Baldwin.
Norm, this is actually going to be a plus for you. If one of our
Bless you.
riders doesn't wait and decides to walk home, that's a decision they've made, not a good decision. They need to really reach out and try to find you if you say you're there 24/7. But at the end of the day, we make some decisions on our own as persons with disabilities, but never probably would I walk home under those circumstances.
Well, and I understand, I
Yeah.
appreciate that, and I would hope that they would be making phone calls to our customer service line. We have somebody overnight, all night long, even in the early morning hours, that they could get a hold of, and we can go try to find out, did the driver go the wrong place? Those things do happen, but we usually get them rectified, so somebody wouldn't have to put themselves at risk to walk home early in the morning like that.
Thank you for that, and thank you for your comment. I have one more question. I'm
Yes,
sorry,
ma'am.
Chair.
No problem.
So and if you can possibly, and maybe it's Mr. Castillo, I'm not sure, what's the process of when one of our citizens or one of the riders call in and they do have a complaint? What's the process of responding? Like I think he walked out. Oh. Like, is there a time frame?
You shouldn't have mentioned his name. I mean,
Is there a
yes.
process that you follow that includes a time frame of
We record it
response?
and everything like this, and then what we do is we assign that to the proper party, whether it be TransDev or if it's on the fixed route side, even to our transportation managers and everything. We want really within 48, 72 hours to start responding back to those individuals to find out. Because a lot of times it's somewhat vague, just like I had to walk home from,
Right.
We need to find out more information as to what really happened and everything. So we try very, very hard to get back with them very quickly. And then we track it on a monthly basis, how many open items are still out there that are complaints that came in that were assigned to, whether it be TransDev, to mobility services, et cetera, and try to find out what those causes are.
Okay, so good. That was going to be my next question. You answered if there was a quality piece of it too.
There is. We track that all the
Okay,
time.
perfect. Thank you.
Cheryl, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I'm
Okay,
good.
that beautiful present is in front of you.
I
and
know, I can't reach it to move it, so I keep raising my chair, but that's okay. I have two questions and one quick comment. I'll do the comment first. I wanted to remind or let people know that there is a third funding source, that if you tell all your friends that may have cars, that you can donate $1 to the Transportation Disadvantaged program. And every dollar that you donate when you renew your registration, it goes to the county where you do that registration. Yes. So it's sadly, I used to be a commissioner on the TD Commission, as did Maryland. And sadly, it's not advertised as much as it should be. But you know how you can go and check off save the manatees, go fishing, save the planet, whatever. You can also help transportation disadvantaged.
That's awesome, Miss Virginia. I wonder if you could help us coordinate with Scott Randolph, because I would advocate for that, whether we get a poster or get a note, and
Put it everywhere that
we do
you
something.
can.
And
That
we
would be
should
good.
maybe consider doing something viral on social media.
And tell people that, have cars. I have a car, I do it, and whatever. And my two questions are, one, why Wednesday? And two, I kind of got the feeling from the lady that made the comment about the drive-through, that she may have been just talking about a driver of the vehicle going through drive-through.
Yeah, I interpret it
I
the
know
same
it
way,
might-
like she stops, like they stopped to get food or something, like there was something else.
And again, case by case, I'd have to go look at, now, it's not unheard of.
Yeah,
Okay,
so it's just kind of like, what,
Yes.
So, and why Wednesdays?
Historically, across the nation, Wednesdays
No,
are,
why is that your bad day?
because more trips are scheduled on Wednesdays and requested on Wednesdays than any other day of the week.
And you don't-
Every month, every year, doesn't change.
I wonder if it has to do with schools or something, or that, I don't know. It's just inquiring minds want to know.
But even in my future life, or past life in California, it was Wednesdays.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll go on Jeopardy and answer that.
For 1,200.
Right.
Anything else for Norm before we allow him to live one more day?
Based on what Ms. Cheryl stated. So if it is driving through a fast food restaurant, is that permitted with riders? Okay, I just wanted you to say that for the record. Okay. I just want to make sure. Okay.
No, they should have dropped off their client and then asked for, they needed a break or something like that.
Thank you.
And it's not as if.
It's the driver. It could be passengers because they've been there so long and now they're all hungry and they want to.
Well, no, we're not gonna, no, we don't deviate, so, no, we have a manifest, and so take it from point A to point B. We don't, yeah.
Perfect.
Norm, in theory, that sounds perfect, but I mean, you've got someone with low blood sugar and they're about to go through an episode and your driver's being proactive by saying, let me just get you some. I mean, I'm not defending, but I'm just saying we don't live in a very black and white world. And if some of these
No,
trips are that
But
long.
again, you have to remember, our folks are not medical assistants or medical professionals, and so we would really,
But
if
if
there's
the
an,
client
if there.
says to you, I've been waiting here, Norm, for 2 hours, now I've used my snack I had, I'm having a low blood sugar, I'm not doing well, surely, in those cases, something could be done.
I disagree with that.
911 call at that point to get the right medical emergency professionals there to administer whatever care is necessary. And that way,
I had my snack, and my snack is gone.
but again, I don't know that the snack was enough. You know yourself better than I would.
Right.
But I, as a untrained medical professional, or,
Don't doubt that.
yeah, I'd much rather they call 911 or get that advice from their dispatchers or supervisors.
Liability, major liability. You have to think about that always.
Okay.
They should, I agree with Norm.
I do
They
too.
should know themselves. Bring
Right.
what you need. You know how the system works. So bring 2 snacks or something, or call 911 yourself. But there's a responsibility that the riders have too. So,
Reasonable versus unreasonable accommodation.
And again, it's case by case. If the normal trip takes 20 minutes and all of a sudden we're on the bus for 2 hours and you didn't plan for it, then that's a different issue that we'll go fix and deal with. And there's transportation supervisors that can look in and respond to it, and et cetera. So.
Thank you, Norm. Thank you for taking.
Thank you all.
I just got to say, thank you, board, for being so engaging. It really does bring warmness to my heart because you guys are into this, and that's the best part of it. So, all right, with that, we are going to move on to Mr. Doug Jameson with
Madam Chair, I just wanted to offer, I just spoke with Doug, and we are well beyond the, well beyond the hour that you are accustomed. I did not want to put this presentation off because last year, several board members participated in this demonstration. And so this was just a circle back to talk about the lessons learned. If you are okay, Doug is okay with postponing this to your next meeting. The presentation is about 10 minutes. 10 minutes? About 15 minutes.
Doug, I'm just going to say something for the board. We have had an extended meeting. We're going on 3 hours and my blood sugar is low. So, would you mind? Because I actually think you've got some good information. I experienced it also. And so I think that it would be a wonderful, engaging conversation. Is the board okay for possibly moving this to our next meeting? Is there a consensus? Because I know we are hitting 1 o'clock and and we've lost several of our members too. Are you okay with that? Fantastic. Thank you very much. And we'll look forward. And if you will, leave your packets so that we cannot waste paper when we leave today, so that Virginia has them ready for next time. All right. So with that, we're going to move on. We're rounding the corner here. We have 3 general information items in your packet: the planning grant, the report on operation payments, and the Title IV non-discriminatory plan and unlimited language English proficiency plan. We don't need to take any kind of action on those?
No, ma'am.
All right. I wanted to let you know of some upcoming meetings and events of interest. The Quality Assurance Task Force meeting will be January 28th of 2025. Yes, that's 2025. And our next TDLCB meeting will be taking place February 13th of 2025. At this time, I wanted to ask if there were any final comments from any members. Again, I want to thank you for being so engaging and really giving it your all. I've always told you guys that this is not me, this is us. And I just love how much this board has grown together and has really been passionate, even when it comes to dialysis counseling and everything else that you guys do, because you're all bringing something to the table that makes us better. I know I make Norm very nervous, but I think he enjoys it. But I do it because I want to see better, and I am going to take up that offer maybe over the holidays of riding along for a couple hours just to see, because we hear this every year, right? We hear it, and I want to go, but I really don't want an emphasis that the commissioner's coming. That we're just going to have a ride along coming, because things tend to be nicer. It's like Disney when I show up, and I want to really see and talk to people.
You want a real picture.
Yeah.
Realistic
I'll dress down, jeans and a t-shirt, that'll be me. So is there any other comments from the board? Yes.
And I'm leaving, so might as well accommodate that, I guess. But I wanted to say thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure to be on this board and meeting so many different people throughout the years, and all the hard work that this board does and tries so desperately to help everybody in the community, and we really do try. We listen. It's a constant moving target to get people where they need to go, when they want to go, and even if you're using your own personal car, it's still a struggle. But we love our community, and we look forward to the constructive comments that everyone's made, and we really appreciate, and I know Norm does, hearing that the service overall is helping our lives so much, for us to be independent and make us feel worthwhile. And I really appreciate that.
You will be missed terribly, and if you're ready to come back, we will welcome you with open arms, because you see both sides of this, and I appreciate everything that you bring to our conversation and to our board.
One last thing, if you ever want to do something about landscaping and sidewalks and all, let's do a convoy of people in chairs.
Oh, yes.
Okay? Because I use the bike lanes a lot, because I can't use some sidewalks. They got trees in the middle of them. I live in College Park. So I'm in the bike lane tootling, and things like that. So, and the slopes of the driveways and cracks in the sidewalks, and just the pole where you change the light. Sometimes I can't get there because my chair will go off the sidewalk. So I have to have, try and wave somebody, push the button for me, please. One of those things. So,
I hope you'll consider doing a video with us too for the dollar donation. I would really be interested in doing that.
I would love to do that. My friend Dwight, who's vision impaired, and I did one at Center for Independent Living, crossing to the village from CIL. And we even had a photographer from video from Orange TV with us, and cars were just whizzing right by us, and there was a flashing light and lines in the street, and Dwight goes, "Are you still there?" I said, "Not for long, follow me."
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
But, I mean, it's funny, but it's really not.
No, it's
Yeah,
true. My
yeah.
husband could have gotten rid of me quickly when we did our experience, so he kept me along for a little bit more because I helped make breakfast for the kids. Okay, so any other comments from any of our board members? All right, seeing none, I do want to go on and say we've reached the second opportunity for public comment. I'm not going to go through all this. Do we have anybody who has a public comment in the general nature, either online or in person? We have one in person. Okay,
I was waiting for, yeah, we have it online.
we have,
We do
okay,
have
I'm
one
going to let the online go first. The online, please, Miss Lisa.
Miss Joanne, we have Miss Joanne Canellis. Joanne.
Yeah, I'm Joanne Canellis. Yeah, I'd like to have the bus on I live in 3024 Claremont Avenue, Lake Mary, Florida, 32746. I know you can hear me really well now, can you? Right? Yes?
Yes.
Good. Well, anyways, we need the bus on Lake Mary Boulevard on Sundays and holidays too, so that in nighttime, so that no one would be stranded. And we need 24 hours bus and train service, including holidays, weekends, and nighttime, so that no one would be stranded like we just did. Because when I rode the bus last night and we've been filled with traffic and stuff, I was all stressed out, and I'm not happy about it either. That's why I got help from Robin and stuff like that. So we need a bus 24 hours, 7 days, bus and train service, including holidays, weekends, and nighttime, including the one that we need also that we don't have it yet. And we need the bus out there at Oviedo Boulevard, so I'll be able to go to and from the swimming here, both the big and little Kahuna. And we need the bus over at the Lake Mary Prep School too. Please, thank you. I appreciate it too.
Thank you, Joanne,
Thank
for
you
making
very
time for
much.
us. Have a good one.
You're welcome.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you too, babe. Merry Christmas to you too.
And one person in person. Your name and county.
Okay. Hi, I'm Janine Lee from Osceola County, and I wanted to follow up on a couple things. First, next time you have one of these meetings, you did it pretty well, but if you could please describe your acronyms, because I don't know what AMMO is, and I didn't know what the QAT Quality Assurance Task Force was. I was lucky, and my sighted fiance could look it up for me, and then you did say what the QA Quality Assurance Task Force. I'm just going to go with the long words because I understand long words and not the letters. So please try to use those. This was my first meeting here ever, and this was lovely and very informative. I thank everyone for their comments and their follow-up and the graphs and the charts and the blind experience. I would like to say it is tricky when you walk on the sidewalk, your cane gets stuck. I have been stranded at SeaWorld by Access Links. I was going home after a very late concert and they couldn't find us at the pickup area. The drive-through I'm speaking of is Starbucks. That happens multiple times. And I've had drivers stop, go in and get food and come back. Driving home from Lighthouse, when I'm getting services, it has taken up to 4 hours to get home. So I would prefer just not to get services. And also for everyone publicly, it would be great to have extended train service because it doesn't, like if I wanted to take the train from Kissimmee to save parking, to save access, to save all that, it doesn't run all the time. So if I went to a concert there'd be no way to get home. I could book access links, but they're hard to find me at a concert sometimes because of all the congestion. So I would just take Uber home. But yeah, so if you could make the train rides better, that I could utilize that more. And thank you so much for limo. The limo downtown, the free program is wonderful. So those are my comments. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Ms.
Thanks
Lee.
for being here with us too.
And we have one more
Yes,
in
Michael.
person.
Michael, if you'll just state your name and the county, and remember you have 2 minutes.
I just want to say thank you to the board for being here. As a citizen of Orange County, I'm a disabled self-advocate. I was actually the one that first spoke very first, and it wasn't me that had the issue. I've talked to a lot of fellow team members at Universal, and they've all expressed concerns that they've had to walk home after Halloween Horror Nights because dispatch has told them that the bus services has stopped for the evening. Don't know if that's 100% true because I've heard from 2 different people that they do run 24/7, but that's something that I would like to look into. Also funding. I am going to be reaching out to the governor's office and also to our local and state legislators because I recently just passed a bill for people with disabilities throughout the state of Florida for supported decision-making authority, which was signed by the governor. And it's important for our individuals to be able to advocate. So I will make sure I advocate for more funding for Orange County and Tallahassee. Lastly, I do want to bring up, and I forgot to mention this in my public comment, that I would like to see more the talking signs for legally blind or visually impaired that says the walk sign is on to cross Kirkman or Conroy Road, because right now there are sections of Kirkman Road that does have that, but there's also a lot of intersections that do not have it in Orange County, and it is very important for our visually impaired individuals to be able to hear that, because what if one of our individuals go hit by a car because they don't know that the walk sign is on? Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael, can we get your last name and county for the record, please? Your last name and county.
Orange County.
Lincoln McCrate, Orange County.
Thank you.
And Ms. Virginia, do we have any submitted comments by email or phone?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, fantastic. I want to again thank the board for spending your generous time with us this morning. Our next meeting is February 13th of 2025. It'll be held at 10 a.m. at Metro Plan Orlando. I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, a Merry Christmas, and a Happy New Year to everyone in the audience too. I'll see you guys next year. And if there's no other business today, we are officially adjourned.
And Madam Chairman, congratulations to you on your reelection. And if I can have the board to stay for this final picture. Thank you.
Betsy.
Hey, Blaine.
Thank you for sharing.